Hello, my astrology friends. This is Lada from Astrolada.com, and today I'm doing an interesting tutorial which will demonstrate you the depths of each of the 12 signs and how we can extract a lot more about the life of people born under a certain ascendant sign or sun or moon sign just by knowing this simple technique. Just by knowing someone's ascendant sign already, you can start seeing certain themes that are more likely to manifest in the life of the person. And this technique is, maybe you won't remember for each of the 12 signs what I say because there is a lot going on, but it will teach you to think astrologically, to make the connections, and to be more bold, to combine the meanings and extract some kind of combinations out of the meanings of the different houses. And this technique in particular is connected with how there are certain repeating life themes for people born under the same ascendant sign or the same moon sign or sun sign. Usually it's best to apply this technique only to the ascendant sign first, because this is your physical body. This is what the material circumstances around are that happening, and it only uses whole sign house system, not Placidus. But if you learn how it works now with the whole sign house system, you can also use it with Placidus, but there might be some changes what houses the different planets are working. And after that, you can apply it to your moon sign, because this is your individual consciousness. And you can apply it to the sun sign as well, which is kind of your higher consciousness. The moon is more like the individual ego consciousness, the sun is the higher consciousness, but all the ascendant, sun, and moon are points of self. So they can be used as start of the horoscope and to see certain themes in your life. But the ascendant is the one most set in stone, because the ascendant shows the material circumstances, the physical body, and the set circumstances in our life that we're born with. While the sun sign gives us more free will, the moon sign is also connected to the journey of the soul, connected to past lifetimes, to the ancestors as well. So we have a bit less free will there. But again, if you can, start with the ascendant. And this technique is based on the fact that the same planets rule more than one house, more than one sign. Just like Venus rules both Libra and Taurus, and Mercury rules both Virgo and Gemini, and we have Jupiter ruling both Sagittarius and Pisces, even though Pisces has a modern ruler now, Neptune. But it also, you have to look at the visible planets as rulers always, because they rule the material manifestation of that house or that sign, while the invisible planet like Neptune, the more psychological side of that house. And Saturn also rules Aquarius and Capricorn, and Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. So there is immediately in everyone's life, in everyone's horoscope, certain themes will be connected. And just by knowing their ascendant or moon sign, you can see certain themes that are likely to play out. And of course, whether they play out in a more positive or negative way will be shown by the planet that rules both of those houses. But if two houses are ruled by the same planet, there is immediately a connection between those two areas of your life. And I urge you, if you've never used whole sign house system, give it a try. Even if your Placidus house system will show that your 10th house is very different than your whole sign house system, it's a different sign. Pay attention, because this is the oldest house system, and it's psychologically it's extremely powerful, and you'll see yourself from a different angle. It's more perfect house system, as they call it, in a sense, the perfect division, the horoscope by 12 equal houses, which are defined by the signs. So let's start with Aries. Let's give you an example. So the first house of Aries, if this is the ascendant, the sun or moon, is ruled by Mars, but so is the 8th house. So Mars immediately works like a conjunction, basically, as if the first and the 8th house are connected themes in the life of the person. So for Aries, that would be the first and the 8th house that are ruled by Mars. So Aries life path, people with Aries rising or very strong Aries, like stellium there with many planets, their life will have a lot of the 8th house connotations and a path. And eighth house is about sudden reversals, changes, constant reinventions of the identity. The identity is the first house, the eighth house is crisis, changes, reinventions, and endings and new beginnings in life. So their life will never be like, oh, you meet them 15 years from now and they're pretty much doing the same thing they've done years ago. Usually there is some big transformation, even with their appearance, with their physical body, with their lifestyle. It's just part of something that is like connected genes. And this connection between the ruler of the eighth and the first being the same planet also indicates they're more likely to have experiences of surgeries, which is the eighth house, experiences of surgical interventions of any sort, so even some kind of accidents, which is again the eighth house. But if Mars is strong in a good position, say in Capricorn, in Sagittarius, Mars loves the fire signs as well. Uh, then or its own signs or exaltation, then these dangerous stuff are not so likely to happen. But Mars with difficult aspects, there is more danger to that. Also, this naturally makes Aries people, Aries rising in particular, smaller degree sun or moon, that they have like this ability to penetrate into secrets, and this kind of even occult interest, because the eighth house connects to their planet, is the same planet as the path in their lifetime here, the ruler of the first. Also, they might have like healing abilities, so they might be very good surgeons or healers. Eighth house is about intervention, healing of any sorts, or even psychologists that get right to the problem, because Mars, as the ruler of the first of the eighth, makes them get to the point exactly where it hurts and see it, and surgically or psychologically go there. There is this kind of a healer, shamanic energy, even though areas sound so basic, but they have this depth to them. And to recognize danger, because the eighth house is danger. And Mars, that planet that rules the eighth and first house, is the planet of warriors fighting. So they'll be willing to go where angels, afraid to, they're afraid to go even, and fight the battle. The eighth house is the house of battles. That's why one of the, not only because Aries is ruled by Mars, they're warriors, but because they're the same house is ruled by Mars. Like the eighth house is also ruled by Mars for them. This is the house of the battleground with their own inner demons, or with evil outside in the world. So Aries can be like this idealistic knight that goes in dangerous situations and saves people. And if there is a crisis, which is again the eighth house, Mars Aries person would jump in, because they themselves, first house and eighth house is the same, they're the best person, one of the best people to have in crisis situations, when things are very stressful, intense, or when there is big changes in the world, say the economic system collapses, some catastrophe is happening, or if in their own personal life there is some kind of catastrophe, I don't know, divorce, loss of job, these things that eighth house rules, that sudden catastrophic changes in a sense, they can organize and basically activate themselves very powerfully. Actually, Aries people with the sun, moon, or ascendant, they're very driven by crisis. Well, things are calm and easygoing, you might see Aries stagnate sometimes. But when there is some danger, external or internal, some a world, big changes are happening, or in their personal life, nothing motivates them and activates them into personal action, because Mars rules also the first house, as such a situation. And you want to be around such people when this happens, because Aries uses Mars to act, which is logic. Mars rules logic. And like a soldier in a stressful or difficult or extreme situation, to be kind of in a crisis situation, to know exactly what to do. Also, Aries' life path, the ruler of the first, is very much connected as well, or maybe to psychology, to occult, forbidden taboo topics, but also to spouses' resources. Maybe their life path can change in a big way when either spouse contributes to the resources, or when, if they have a business with someone, because the eighth house rules mutual resources of any partnership. So it might be business partnership or money that comes to you from another. It's intricately connected, the resources or abilities, or it doesn't always have to be money, the eighth house of others. It can be their talents, their resources, that Aries can somehow really, the path in life can really be changed through those, the resources of others. Now, another house for Aries that is ruled by the same planet would be the second and sixth house, ruled by by Venus. Venus rules for Aries the second and sixth house. So we immediately connect the meanings of second and sixth house. They are both, second and seventh house, totally. Second and seventh house. Libra is the opposite from Aries, and Taurus is the second. So we have again here a connection between one's finances, second house, in the life of Aries, and the partner, seventh house. This is now a nicer planet, Venus, and it kind of confirms a little bit the connection between the person themselves, and the eight partners' resources. Now it here confirms it. Their resources, Venus, are very influenced by their partnerships. For example, how it can play out. They might make more money if they enter into a relationship, business partnership, collaboration. And you'd say it doesn't sound logical because Aries is the warrior, wants to do things alone. But you'll notice, just like I'm a very strong Aries, my finances tripled after I started working not just on my own, but with partners. Also, for example, if they get married, their financial situation can really change for better or worse. If Venus is in a bad condition, it can turn bad. If Venus is quite decent or normal, at least, not kind of destroyed by malefics, usually the financial situation, their own self-worth improves, because second house also rules self-worth. Your value improves after they start a relationship, so after marriage. And a partner or collaborations with others very strongly affect their material situation. So another way it can connect, you see, you take the meaning of one house and the meaning of another house, and you start making logical connections between them. And you'll see patterns in the life of people with strong Aries. Or for example, you can use it as remedy, say for Aries, their love life or their relationships are not going well. For some reason, something is like they can't find the right partner, or they're not happy in a relationship. But Venus also rules their second house. So if they have very strong resistance to the topic of the seventh house because they've been hurt by others, so they've tried many times, it's not working out, they should leave that energy for a little bit and focus on the second house, where maybe they have less resistance. So maybe focus on creating material stability more in their life, making more money, let's say, or making themselves more secure, fixing their teeth, making them more attractive, which is Venus. Second house is teeth, taking care of their face. Second house is face as well. And such kind of more sensual experiences of the five senses, which is the second house. Then this will loosen the resistance, because again, they're working on this Venus in an area where they have less resistance than in the area of the seventh house, for example. And this will help them attract. But for example, for me, I only started having and attracted a good relationship when my financial situation, when I stabilized my financial situation, second house, my resources, because I had a strong resistance to the seventh house issues, like emotional reaction, and then they sort it out. Or it might be the opposite. You might have better relationships with others, but your financial situation is bad. And if you're focusing too much on it, there is this blockage of the energy. I mean, if you're focusing in a negative way. So instead, you can try and improve your relationships, taking care of others, being fair to them, treating others with respect and kindly, which is Venus ruling the seventh house. And then this will unlock your financial situation. So like that, we can continue for many houses for each of the signs. For Aries as well, we have the ruler of the sixth house, which is Virgo, which is Mercury. And the ruler of the third house is the same planet. So we have connection between the third and the sixth house. So third, what is it? Your thinking, your communication. Sixth house is health. And you'll see many areas can be in the health. And sixth house is not only health, like nutrition, exercise, supplements. but it's also work. So many areas you can see them in the health industry. As they already have this healing ability, the ruler of the first being the same as the ruler of the sixth on a psychological, kind of more deep psychological level, but they also have the knowledge. Third house is having a lot of information, knowledge, understanding, and because they're interested, they communicate, they read, they study about that, about topics of health, about topics of uh, nutrition, and so on. They can even be in such careers drawn. But also they can have the third house is thinking processes, sixth house, another energy of the sixth house can be criticism and can be accusatory. So they might, especially with siblings, sixth house rules enemies in ancient astrology. People that accuse you directly, people not hidden enemies and stuff. There is direct accusations, there is direct kind of uh, finding faults with each other. And the third house is the siblings and also your schoolmates and your workmates and the environment around. And especially if Mercury has some difficult aspects, they can have like frenemies type of things, or even with siblings, some kind of competitiveness, accusatory relationship of some sort. But if Mercury is doing well, they can be that they work together. Third house siblings, sixth house working together. Me as a strong Aries, I work with all of my siblings there in the business together. Sixth house work, third house siblings. Also, third house is associates, friends in your everyday environment. I work with a lot of friends in my business as well that are from my that I've known from school and so on. So that's another way it can play out. It can also mean that Aries can do jobs, sixth house, that the third house related. They can do, especially mental such. So third house would rule social media, would rule writing, messaging, administrative work, commercial transactions, marketing. They have a good grasp on such things and they can do it as a job. Connection between third and sixth house. But again, sixth house is also competitiveness and enemies, so you can have such issues with the third, with people that represented the third house, neighbors, and so on, if Mercury is not well disposed. Um, Now, another house that is ruled by the same planets for Aries is the ninth house and the 12th house. That's ruled by Sagittarius. So there is an immediate connection when you're born with Aries rising, sun or moon between your ninth and 12th house. Ninth house is your religious beliefs. 12th house is spirituality. When there is connection between those two houses, these people have natural spiritual beliefs. They might not be following some religious rituals and whatever, but they naturally are intrinsically spiritually connected to to themes, to the mysteries. Their beliefs are more spiritual in a sense, and they have easy access because whatever Jupiter rules gives you easy access to the world of imagination, which is the 12th house, to the world of the higher knowledge. And they might be drawn to studying such nine houses, higher knowledge, studying, learning. 12th house is mysteries, psychology, things that answer about invisible worlds, spiritual knowledge of any sorts as well. They can naturally have deep understanding because Jupiter is also deep understanding. And it also shows that they can be roaming around the world and traveling. Both houses rule faraway places, unless Jupiter is severely afflicted, say with Saturn and whatever, or maybe not just with Saturn, but some hard aspects, but usually they have easy access to foreign places, to live foreign around in foreign countries and so on. So there is this connection, and that they usually are allowed to go there. And like that, we can check for all the 12 signs. For Capricorn and Aquarius, Saturn rules them both, but I really resonate a lot with Uranus ruling Aquarius even more nowadays because it's the first of the invisible planets, and sometimes actually it is visible, Uranus. And I, even the ancient system would give another planet ruling Aquarius, not just Saturn, the North Node, Rahu. So I don't see so much the connection between Capricorn and Aquarius, but still, we can use it. And for Aries, we can see that the same planet that rules the 10th house rules the 11th house, which would indicate that for them there is a connection between if they want to achieve high status, there is a connection with, maybe mentors or people. It's called the 11th house. Is not exactly mentors, but uh, your audience, your clients is the 11th house, and it's also people that take you under their wing and can help you, benefactors. So there can be some, especially older, because Saturn is the connection, older benefactor that helps them, someone more knowledgeable, more authoritative. Like it was always the case for me. People that would be like my benefactors, older or more experienced, that they would help me. And Aries should respect authority if they want to succeed. Capricorn ruling the 10th house, and should try and do it legally, because Capricorn is, you have to follow the legal law established route, and might take them longer than others, but they can achieve something very solid. But usually they can achieve something through by getting larger audience, especially more from the general public. Saturn rules the normal people, hoi polloi, and through the support. 11th house is the support of larger groups of people. Maybe they can even do something that changes society through their career, because the 11th house rules society, 10th house is ruled by the same planet. So your worldly actions, your vocation, let's call it, can change the whole society and reach large groups of people, but usually with personal efforts. It's not gonna come easy for you, Aries. Saturn rules those houses of gains, the 11th house, and changing society and recognition publicly. Both those houses, you really have to put the hard work there. So don't try to, I as an Aries tried sometimes to get the easy way. No, it doesn't mean you're not going to have help and support. You will, but the legal, the honest way. Now let's try for Taurus. That would be a long video, but maybe I'll try to be shorter. For Taurus is ruled by Venus, so is Libra, the 6th house. So immediately there is a strong connection on the life path of Tauruses, especially Taurus rising people, with their work. Venus rules the 6th house as well. Maybe only Taurus and Scorpio rising, they have the ruler of the 1st and the 6th being the same planet. Ones that are really invest their whole self in their work. And for Taurus, they really have to love it because Venus rules it. And if they're in some inharmonious working environment, or with clients who are, or with workmates who are like my kids are fighting right now, if there is such disharmonious effects, it can strike them on the health. The 1st house also rules the physical body. And it's very important for them to, no matter whether it's at work or in their home, because the 6th house rules any kind of situations that are toxic as well. And Venus ruling it there, it asks that there is harmony. It has that. So check out your environments for toxicity, whether it's people, whether it's substances and so on, whether it's there's some other ways, and because this is very important for your health and for your progress in life, on your path in life. But Taurus, ruler 1st and the 6th is the same planet, deeply invested in their work. It needs to be often something Venusian with a either connected to food or to beauty, to art, or to they can also be very good in careers, Tauruses, which is 6th house careers, which is kind of like service, litigation, where they have to fix some kind of discord, because 6th house rules discord, rules situations of imbalance, say the sick, the or people that police that go and try and fix a situation, or social justice. If you're trying to bring awareness for social justice for the underclasses, 6th house rules the underclasses, 6th rules those that are on the fringes of society. And Libra, Venus rules Libra and Taurus. So Taurus can make some of the best social service, social justice workers, or even litigators in some way, where they're in situations of discord and they have to bring the Venusian energy of peace and negotiation and agreement of some sort. And Taurus also very much 6th house rules pets. and plants and such stuff. They really love, because Venus rules both, loves the underdog, sixth house, but they also love those that are in the working class. This is sixth house. They can have direct relations with such, but they also love to invest their energy, first house, their path of life, maybe having pets as well, plants, and so on. Now, they have to be careful because the sixth house is the house of health issues and is the same planet that rules the first house of vitality, your physical body, your path in life. So they, because Venus rules that sixth house, they can be, they can have like sometimes lifelong battle with Venusian kind of health issues, which is from sugar, from sweets or alcohol, so the sweet tooth, so they have to be a bit more careful for those Venusian things, the sweetness of life, as they say. Because there's connection between the first and the sixth house. Usually, if health issues arrive, check it's something Venusian in nature. Can come from a Venus ruled organs and so on, like kidneys and so on. Now, another connection is that the second house for Taurus and the fifth are ruled by the same planet. That's Mercury. Mercury, the second and the fifth houses in ancient astrology rule, the combination between the ruler of the second and the sixth makes wealth combination. And that's wealth, because second house is money, fifth house is almost like good luck that comes to you from past lifetimes, of the past good deeds. So it's almost like, oh, this person's so lucky. They can, for example, it can be like winning from a lottery if Mercury is strong in your horoscope. Say, if you're Taurus rising and Mercury is in Virgo, in Gemini, or even here in Aquarius, close to an angle, these people can win from speculation. They can win from money that comes to them, almost like fifth house is like a gift, like a blessing, but they will earn it in a past lifetime. And they might invest. Maybe it was someone who bought 20 bitcoins in 2009, speculative investment, and then the fifth second house connection, whoa, in a few years you might have a few million there. So, but only Mercury is doing good. If Mercury is, I don't know, hemmed between malefics in a 12th house or 8th house or something, there can be disruptions there. But usually there's connection between second house money and fifth house. So they can make money, for example, once they have children. They can start making more money. Like, I knew someone, she was Taurus moon, and when she had her first child, her good luck for finances, fifth house child, finances, started unlocking after the birth. It's not that the child brought her the money. The energy of the child is connected to the energy of her own self-worth and her own financial situation, the second house. So this happened. Or I knew another woman who was having a bad relationship with her child, and her finances started suffering. So, and she hasn't talked to her child for years. And was like adamant she's not gonna talk to the child, whatever. She was very offended or something. It wasn't a child anymore, it was a grown up, but her finances was suffering. I said, listen, the ruler of the second and the fifth is the same planet. If it's you, she felt very sensitive about the finances topic, and she said, I can't find the solution. I said, then jump to the other house, the fifth house, try to improve the relationship with your child. She was like, oh, I said, try, and this will unlock the financial situation. So gradually they started. So here it is important to keep good relationships with your lovers, fifth house, or if you have problems romantically, fifth house, which is also lovers, not just children, you can try and do something with the second house to improve it. Maybe better self-worth, and that will improve the romantic relationship as well. Or maybe you can start having something like improved teeth hygiene. Second house rules teeth. For example, it might seem stupid and unconnected, but if the second and the fifth house are ruled by the same planet, then you cannot conceive or have children, or something else, fifth house, like having problems in your romantic relationship or having problems self-expressing yourself in public with others. With creativity, fix your teeth, second house, or change your eating habits. Pay attention to the other area that's not so painful, which is the second house. And one of the second house issues can be either fixing teeth, making more money if you can, or uh, making your environment more organized because Mercury rules there, or also making foods, learning more about foods, how to eat health, and so on. Or it might be the opposite. Might be that your second house is suffering money, so change something with the fifth house. But you can make money, especially during Mercury periods in life, which is using the Dasha system. That is something else. But if you're having Mercury periods and your Taurus rising, that's when you can make lots of money, especially through speculation, through speculative investments, through some kind of a lucky break, through your creative performance or creativity or art, through your own original ideas. Fifth house is also to have your own business, which is your own creative idea. It's not a business you inherited, it's like a baby that you grow from little. Well, you can do that as a Taurus, grow baby from little, but like this business, and that would financially be good for you because this is the same ruler. Now another connection for Taurus, the sixth house we talked, the seventh house and the 12th house are connected. You see here, they're ruled by the same planet, Mars. So 7th and 12th. Now, if Mars is in a good condition, usually they're more likely to meet their partner abroad or to be a foreign partner from a different 12th house, someone different culturally, someone maybe from a different religion or different, but someone more unfamiliar or from all over the seas or whatever, or while they go traveling, if that's directly related to their committed partnership, the 12th house. But also there is a bit of a darker side there with the 12th house as one of the difficult houses, as we know, when it's connected to the 7th house. They can be 12th house is something hidden, and 12th house is considered the enemy of the marriage, which is lovers, hidden relationships, basically. So there might be a tendency for people with strong Taurus to have behind the scene relationships, and because Mars is the ruler of the 7 and the 6, it will be for sexual reasons, not just like companionship or something. They sexually need or might attract enemies of the marriage, as they call it. Just a note here, opening. I'm not saying all Taurus is a cheaters and so on, but it might be a theme they experience more often, especially Taurus rising people, you know. But also it can be a partner who is the ruler of the 7th and the 12th, who is more spiritual, for example. 7, 12 houses, their partnerships though, especially the first marriage, because 7th house is especially connected to first marriage, can have a bit more of a karmic thing there where there was fighting because Mars rules them, and they come as a couple now, or the earlier relationships in life where there is more competition, where there is more argumentativeness, and you have to work it out, And my mom is a Taurus rising, and to this day, 44 years later, they fight every day. I don't know how they're together, but they're together because Taurus has staying power. But yeah, there is this combination that the partner might be doing something secretive, or they might be. The ruler of the 7th is in the 12th. But again, this can mean that they can meet abroad, to be a foreigner, and so on. Usually, second marriages for Taurus rising people tend to be, or Taurus sun, moon, to a lesser degree, those two, but still, second marriages is seen from the second house, which is the 8th from the 7th. The 8th is the death or the end of something and the regeneration. That's why second marriages is not the 9th house, it's the 8th from the 7th. And usually Taurus tend to have more easier second marriages with more, this is the Gemini energy, which is lighter than the Scorpio energy. And it's more mental and it's more lighter and so on. And there is this connection to the 5th house for second marriages, which is kind of one of the luckier houses, more playful, more romantic. But, that's just seeing at connections of between 7th and 12th house. They can find also secrets about other 7th house, 12th house more often, and so on. Now, another house that is ruled for Taurus by the same planet is the 8th and the 11th house, ruled by Jupiter. Wherever we have Jupiter ruling house, we have easy access to the energies of that house. And for Taurus, that is one of the healing houses, the 8th, psychological transformations. And Jupiter can allow a person to have deep psychological transformations and healing more easily for this person, access to more occult, hidden energies, and especially when they're in situations of crisis, which is the 8th house, whether it's a divorce, whether it's someone died, whether it's losing the job, or something's happening that puts you up, which is 8th house energy. Sagittarius ruling also the 11th house shows that friends can come and help. 11th house is friends, or it can mean that you in a situation of crisis, collective, because the 11th house rules the collective markets, the collective society on the whole, and connection with the 8th house, some crisis, you can benefit Jupiter. So say the financial markets are falling apart, or COVID hits, or things like that. Well, actually, there is Jupiter. Good luck for you in such on collective level, things that you can in some way benefit through. Also, there is connection between the ruler of the 8th and the 11th. So we can think of other ways to connect it, especially if Jupiter is doing good, positive mostly. But they can be some support or inheritance or something that's left to you from friends or acquaintances, or you can join pooled finances, merge finances, 8th house, with people from your social environment and benefit in some way as well. But also there can be some secrets, a lot of secrets with your friends. Or your friends, 11th house, can have 8th house indications. But because Jupiter is the ruler of both, they're not so much for the negative to harm. They're more like they might be more cultists or healers or people interested in the deeper side of life, in the psychological side of life, and so on. So yeah, this is for Taurus. They have also the ruler of the 9th and the 10th being the same planet. So Saturn becomes for them a planet of just like Gemini becomes Mercury becomes a planet for money for them, because it makes the combination for wealth as a ruler of the 2nd and the 5th. In the same way, Saturn becomes for Tauruses a planet for success in life, because it's the ruler of the 9th and the 10th. In ancient astrology, we say when the ruler of the 9th and the 10th are together, in your case is the same planet, they can achieve high positions in society. But because it is Saturn, it's through hard work for you and through their education, through their wisdom. Maybe even some kind of a teacher can help you, the ruler of the 9th, or someone with more experience that can help you achieve your highest potential, the 10th house. But the 9th house is inspiration, 10th house is action. 9th house is knowledge, 10th house is putting it into action, making something with it. And because Saturn is there, it might take them longer. Say others might, because this is a Raj Yoga, success yoga, they will have a success, but because it's Saturn ruling it, with more efforts and longer time. But it is success yoga, so it's good. Actually, Saturn transits for Taurus rising can be what ushers in success for them rather than the opposite. So success, especially if they have good knowledge, they usually don't go for the highest achievement, because Capricorn 9th house, highest academic achievements, but it is very important for them to have credentials, to have some kind of a degree, because this is what is a stepping stone for their career. Also their career, which is the 10th house, can have 9th house connotation, which is in some guiding but authoritative energy, but like overseeing, guiding, directing others, because the 9th house is either like a teacher or someone who consultant who sees the bigger picture and helps others in some way. Okay, now Gemini, sun, moon, or rising. Immediately we know that Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury also rules their 4th house. So we have a strong connection between the individual path of the Gemini rising person, to a lesser degree Sun or Moon Gemini as well, but you can still include it. The individual path of the Gemini, there is a very strong connection with their ancestors, fourth house, with their family lineage, with their family. If things are not working well in their life, or even with their health, the first house, so they don't know who they are, what they want, there's some blockages in clarity. Maybe they should connect with this fourth house because it's ruled by the same planet, Mercury. Maybe they should connect with their parents more, or start studying, because Mercury likes to investigate, to study, to research the family tree. They can benefit if something is not going well in their life. Connect with the fourth house, because as we said, if something is not going well in one area of our life, we have resistance there, very strong emotional feelings. So if it's not going well overall on your path of life, how you're presenting, how you're progressing in life, then connect with the fourth house where you have less resistance there, less negative feelings, unless you have negative feelings there too. So to kind of spend more time with family, or take care of property or land or a garden, which is the fourth house. And that can start unlocking the negative energy of the first house, that if you have issues there. But it shows there that there might be even physical resemblance between Gemini people with very strongly with one of the parents, grandparents, that they kind of might repeat a pattern or come here to continue on a path and research and study it of some of the parents. Usually it's the mother that the semblance might be, because the fourth house is more connected to mother, but it might be some, because fourth house is expanded family, kind of the not just the mother but the whole family with the uncles and whatever. And there is a strong connection there, so it might be interesting to research your through family constellation or through family tree to see the patterns, because you're working on some of those same issues. Plus, Geminis tend to really like to manage and organize properties, real estate. Many Geminis can be very good salesmen of real estate or lands or vehicles. Fourth house rules vehicles in ancient astrology. And we see now why we say that Geminis can be very good salespeople, but especially for such things, for real estate, for uh, vehicles, and so on, because the ruler of the first and the fourth is the same. Plus, one's path in life is very important for Geminis. Say if their life is not going well, improve relationships with parents in some way, forgive them, or if they can't find a place of living, fourth house, or can't settle down, they have issues with the fourth house. Well, because it also rules their first house, I would advise them to start, if the fourth house issue is very sensitive, the relationship with parents is very sensitive, for finding real estate it's sensitive, then do something with the first house to loosen that energy, to get it moving, and it will activate and solve the family problem, the personal life problem of the fourth house, or real estate problem that you might be having. What would be, might be physical exercise, first house, if it's your ascendant, might be just more focus on yourself, more time with yourself, and so on. That will activate you, that will start loosening that energy. But usually they care very much about fourth house things, which can be the local, the country. It can be about the education of the neighborhood, because fourth house is also the education in ancient astrology. The education that indoctrinates you into the culture with the habits, the folk traditions, the seasonal celebrations, and so on. Okay, then another thing. So if things are not going well in your life, which is the first house, overall health, maybe put order in your home with family, or the other way around. Now, another connected houses for Gemini is the fifth house of love, romance, and creativity, and the 12th house. They both are, 12th house rules the imagination, fifth house rules creative, brilliant thinking. They're both very creative houses, the 12th and the 5th, and they're connected by a beautiful planet, Venus, that co-rules them. So there is a strong creativity there to be expressed, of the imagination. There might be imaginative writing that they're very good at. There might be any kind of creative expression can be a lot of actors as well have strong Gemini you'd see, and this for me comes because of the connection between the 5th and 12th house. But actually some of the best actors and people in arts will have some strong Gemini in them. And that comes because Venus, the planet of arts, rules the 5th house of creativity and the 12th house of imagination. Put all those words together and what do you have? And also there is other combination, other way we can see. 5th house is your lovers, love life, where you can find love from. 12th house is foreign countries, faraway places, while you're traveling away. Or in hotels, you might have romantic encounters. 12th house rules hotels, hidden places, or foreign countries, far away from your everyday normal environment. There can be a connection there. Also, the 5th house is the children and the lovers, the boyfriends, girlfriends we have. 12th house is a bit karmic there, but it's Venus. So there might have been something unfinished from a past lifetime with your first child. It's not a bad planet. Venus is usually a positive energy, so it's not like a stressful relationship with the child, with the children, the firstborn, or the lovers. More like there was something unfinished, something hidden that has to be completed from a past lifetime or past life connection of love that this boyfriend now or girlfriend or your firstborn child comes to, in a Venusian way, help you in some way. In extreme cases, there can be loss of children or lovers. 12th house is losses, 5th house is those, but the Venus has to be really, really bad in the horoscope, which is very rare. And 5th house is how you have fun. 12th house is escapism. So there is this connection, especially escapism through Venusian ways. You can imagine what Venusian's ways are through relationships, to private secret things, or through anything that is more sugary and so on. So that's one danger to be, to be aware of. 12th house is addictions. 5th house is how do we have fun? Can you keep it more healthy? Then there is a strong connection for Gemini between the ruler, not strong, but it's the same planet that rules the 6th house and the 11th house. So enemies and friends. Gemini can have, between their friends, there can be some enemies. They can make often because Mars rules it, which is a planet that can create animosity further. The ruler of the 6 is enemies. The ruler of the 11 is friends, frenemies. They can have those and flip them around. But the Aries is the Mars ruled houses is where there can be more confrontation there. But they'll have many friends, but at the same time, sometimes they can go and there will be confrontations that with friends and enemies that Gemini are not afraid to do, basically. But there is also another connotation, especially if Mars is good position, say on an angle with decent aspects or good sign. Then you can work with your friends, or benefactors can help you professionally in your career, in your work. 6th house is your work, your personal responsibilities there, worldly duties as well. There is other ways we can connect the 6th and the 11th house. 11th house is long-term project goals and dreams. So Gemini have a lot of energy to focus on following long-term goals and dreams. And 6th house is the hard work that you do. And they are very at work when it comes to work with Scorpio, then Mars working their 6th house. They can really expect and they push hard, and that can antagonize some of their co-workers, because Scorpio energy in the 6th house is very focused and they can overperform even sometimes. That's where some of the hostilities can come, or if they have staff, they might demand more with Scorpio ruling the 6th house and Mars ruling, usually following some long-term goals or bigger goals and plans, which is the 11th house. But if they have such long-term goals and plans or dreams, some big project they're working in, they can do it through having staff, but it will be always stressful situation because Mars rules it. But they have the work ethics to to kind of like a soldier, which is Mars, like a general strategically to get to that goal. So we connect the 6th house of work and efficiency with the 11th house of long-term goals and gains. Okay, now another combination for Gemini that is ruled by the same planet is Jupiter ruling both the 7th and the 10th house. This is very interesting. In Jupiter, whatever Jupiter rules, we have high permission there and easier access to partners and career. But there is a connection between Gemini's relationships and their social status. So for example, and that's a good planet, Jupiter, their social status can really elevate after marriage, or their career can really take off thanks to the support of another person, or maybe business partnership it might be good for them to be in business partnerships rather than trying to do things alone, because their career, the 10th house, is interconnected to others. Also, it means that their career should be connected to servicing others on one-on-one. That's why a good salesman, again, we get the same thing here. Good salesman to relationships with others, the 7th house, that helps them achieve their career goals and easy access to others in a sense. Also, it can mean that their partner, there's connection between the ruler of the 7th and the 10th is the same planet. Their partner can help them achieve higher status, or business partnership can help, or their partner is in some way beneficial, helping them climb together, or they can do something together in partnership that elevates them both. So yeah, this is Capricorn, Aquarius, the 7th and the 9th, the 8th and the 9th houses. That's not much of an issue there. The 8th of a 9th. Aquarius, worship, 9th house is where you worship. For Gemini, Aquarius is the 9th house. They would more likely worship at the temple of universities and higher knowledge and science rather than some kind of more spiritual energy. But they do have the ruler of the 9th and the 8th, which is 8 is occult knowledge, deeper knowledge. That is not the conventional. 9th is higher knowledge or universities. So they do have a deeper understanding of such things on a spiritual level. Even if they're naturally more scientifically minded because of Aquarius in the 9th house, but they can study something. 9th house ruler is the same as the 8th house ruler, that is more 8th house connected, for example, which is about other people's finances. In university, we're talking, because 9th house is what you study if you have higher knowledge. It can be deep understanding, higher knowledge about mutual finances, resources, stock markets, 8th house, or about healing, about taboos, about conspiracies, about hedge funds, about emergencies, or higher knowledge about anything occult or astrological as well, that they might, benefit by studying such higher knowledge. All right, now Cancer, Sun, Moon, or rising. Cancer is individually only the moon rules it, so is the 2nd house, but the third house is ruled by Mercury, and so is the 12th house. So now we have a connection between the ruler of the 3rd, we connect those houses, the 3rd and the 12 houses. So 3rd house can be siblings. And there is here 12 houses past life connection. So Cancers are more likely to have a kind of more of a karmic, or it can be positive karmic, depends on the situation of their Mercury, whether the sibling was an enemy or a friend in a past lifetime. But there is something unfinished, and maybe if Mercury is good, there is love and support, they're very good friends now, but it's from a past lifetime. And there was a loss happened, and it has to continue in this lifetime. Sometimes in extreme situations, if the ruler of the 12th and the 3rd, so Mercury is in a very bad cosmic situation with hard transits only, in a difficult house, there can be loss of a sibling or separation, because 12th house is like, getting or maybe there might be a secret sibling they don't know about. 12th house that appears in their life. 12th house, something secret you are not aware and appears. But third house is also their workmates, playmates, mates. And with the 12th house, they might have more past life connections to such people in their everyday environment, their relatives, their neighbors. And if Mercury is good, it will be good because they'll help each other spiritually, very deep understanding. That if Mercury is bad, they might be doing things behind each other's backs. Your neighbors doing something, or your siblings, or whatever, or your co-workers. But it also can be good if they want to work in a small group environment. Third house is a team on something imaginative. 12th house, or something kind of more imaginative, or maybe they work with a team on a resort or hotels. 12th house is connected to hotels, so maybe they might be very good managers. Third house is manager, marketer of hotels. 12th house, very good managers of property, of kind of property where people go and rent to escape from the everyday life. Like it's whether it's a hotel, it's ruled by the 12th house as well. Also, they can be far trips to faraway countries there. That is more possible for Cancers overall. 12 houses, faraway places. Third house is short trips under a month. So that's more easily accessible because Mercury ruled things are more easily accessible as well. That happens. Or they can be travels of the mind in the invisible realms that are more accessible to Cancer. Third house, the everyday mind. 12 houses, the invisible realms, and access in some way. But usually gem cancers have a hard time resting their subconscious because Mercury rules it there. So more active type of meditations to calm their mind rather than sitting still and emptying fully the mind is better for cancers because of the third house connection with the 12, like a more active moving meditations of sorts. Okay, then there is the connection for cancers between the ruler of the fourth, which is Venus. Venus also rules the fourth and the 11th. Now we have here a connection between the fourth and 11th. What can we see? For example, such people, fourth and 11th house is gains, fourth house is real estate. Now we know why cancers can be very good with real estate, because the most gainful house, 11th, is ruled by the same planet that rules the fourth house of real estate, property, homes, and so on. So especially if Venus is good in the horoscope of Cancer, they can benefit a lot from gains in real estate, and it's good to invest in that and so on. Also, the 11th house is connected to, that's one of the powerful connections there that I was thinking. I have to speed up a bit, so we're just to Cancer, and that it's supposed to be an hour and a half video. But you can think of other connections: fourth house, 11th house, hopes and dreams and wishes. Also, they can feel happy living in a community. 11th houses, other people with like-minded ideas that are similar to theirs. I'm not talking kumbaya and so on, but might be as well. And communities that they feel them like family, or feeling friends like family, or getting them close into their homes more. As you know, cancers are usually welcoming people into their homes as well. We're talking especially Cancer rising people. Okay, so another planet that rules the fifth house is ruled also by the 10th house. For Cancers, actually, Mars is a very good planet because it rules two happy, lucky houses in astrology. It creates a success yoga. So, Mars for Cancers, success yoga, success combination, because Mars rules one house of creativity and inspiration, the fifth house, and one house of action, the 10th house. When we have a combination between house of action and creativity, one gets inspired and they act. So it creates dharma. So you get an inspiration, you act on it. So you get a brilliant idea and you fulfill it into your career or bring it out to the world. Especially Mars activities for Cancers can be good. And again, Mars rules real estate in ancient astrology. It can be good for them. But they can, in a sense, achieve greater status and contribute to the world, which is then house, achieve success and glory or whatever else you want to call it, through their own creative ideas. They can come up with an idea, they can achieve it. Eight houses, you download from God inspiration, some idea, it's your baby, you grow it, and they can truly manifest it into a career, because they Cancer rising people, it might sound, oh, Cancer rising, soft, sweet, Mars rules their 10th house. Aries rules their 10th house. These people will follow their goal, and they'll put so much energy into achieving some creative, and usually they want to do things that everyone else is doing. But Aries is innovative in energy, and it also rules Mars, their 5th house. It will be original, it will be more creative, and they can be in positions there. Also, we have to connect the 5th and the 10th. What can it be? Children. Once a person has a child, their career can take off, for example. Or if they're not in a good relationship with their children, maybe their career will start suffering as well. Or they might be having problem conceiving a child, and they're too focused on that. And if they're very strong emotional feelings about that, I would advise them, well, go into the other house of Mars, so you can unlock the energy of Mars, get it moving, which is 10th house. So contribute something to the world, go out there, be visible, get active, follow goals. I know it might sound counterproductive, but if you're too focused specifically for Cancer on this 5th house, if it comes to children, it's best to move the energy to the 10th house, and it can unlock the energy. Or if your career is not going well, your worldly ambitions are not going well, maybe do something 5th house, which is not just have a child, which is a big thing, oh, my career is not working, let me have a child. You don't have children for this reason. Maybe improve the relationship with your child, but go have fun. If you're having problems as a Cancer, where you want to achieve something, their 10th house, your career, or what is my mission in life, or having a problem with some boss or some authority figure, or with some institutions, we're in a struggle, in a battle, and you feel very sensitive about it, move to the energy of the 5th house as a Cancer, which would mean to unlock this Mars to act better, start having more fun, go on a few dates if you can with your wife, or play more with your kids, more physical games if you have, or just be creative. Start. Our 5th house is sports, that you're working out sports for fun, because it's Mars ruled. Definitely something more physical, or other ways of having fun, that are more martial, dancing, or hunting. This is very scorpionic. But then it will start unlocking the Mars energy and healing that Mars, so it can help you with the career, or institutions or authority figures if there are issues. Okay, also your career can be connected to 5th house, which is more creative, or to children and so on, or entertainment industry, or you might be managing others in entertainment history, or luxury. 5th house is celebrity, luxury, and so on. Now, another house ruled by Cancer is by the same planet is the 6th and 9th houses. 6th and 9th houses, they're ruled by Jupiter. And we have to make a connection. What is the 6th and the 9th mean? So that's, and Jupiter rules it there. But for example, I can't remember specific examples now for this, but 6th and 9th can be higher knowledge or higher education connected to medicine. 6th house is medicine, healing of any sorts, medical professions, so they might have high education connected to that, or higher knowledge, not necessarily 9th house is not always diplomas, degrees, but higher knowledge. Or, for example, if they have some illness that is not going away, 6th house, illness, health condition, they can heal it through faith. The ruler of the ninth is Jupiter, as well as the ruler of the sixth. For not for everyone that will work, but because Jupiter for Cancers rules the sixth of illness and the ninth of God and belief, and maybe some guru or teacher going to retreats with gurus, teachers, or healers, and so on. This can work for them. They have easy access to healing because Jupiter rules the sixth and the ninth. But if their mind, the higher mind, believes through prayer and so on, or they might be able to heal a condition by going abroad, ninth house, uh, or by gathering as much knowledge as possible about that and something shifting in their consciousness and so on. There is also this connection that this is what I can think for now, but also that jobs, sixth house is jobs, that Cancer, sixth house is jobs and the service you do to the world, and ninth house is humanitarian energy. It wants to help everyone. It wants to, ninth house is very humanistic. You'd say it's Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. It's interested in other things that are more material than, while Jupiter rules the ninth house for you, and it rules Sagittarius naturally. So that is very, the ninth house and Jupiter, the most humanistic. And there is connection between your career and work and humanistic. Also, ninth house is the house of luck, and where you can feel God and feel inspired and connected and knowing and strong intuition. You can have very strong intuition with sick people, with diseases, and also with animals. Cancers can have this inner knowing, Jupiter and the ninth house, about animals, plants, or those in need. The sixth house rules those in need, the poor, and so on. And very humanistic, generous approach to people in difficulty, whether it's an addict. Sixth house rules everyone that is on the margins of society, that and animals as well, pets, but also the sick, the poor, the uneducated. And ninth house is very humanistic, charitable attitude and higher open-minded attitude towards such people that Cancers do have, because of the connection of the ninth and the sixth with the most altruistic planet, Jupiter, humanistic. And they can truly do something by spreading knowledge, by just being their benevolent, kind self towards those in need or those put in a conflicted situation. Also, their jobs that they take, sixth house, can be ones of guiding others. They can have a duty. Sixth house is the duty you have towards others, to guide them. Ninth house, a duty towards those that are confused, lost, in a difficult situation, to give them advice. Ninth house. Sixth house, those that are lost, confused, in trouble, in a problem situation. Ninth house, give them advice, to show them the higher perspective in some way. So you see how a lot of the qualities of Cancers, you start seeing it from these other houses. Then Cancer has the ruler of the seventh, and the eighth is the same planet. It's Saturn plus Uranus, but that's a different thing. So for them, it's important that their partner will have kind of financial stability and security. It's not necessarily guaranteed they'll get that, but it is, marriage is connected to the mutual resources. So eighth house is the mutual resources. And oftentimes the partners, they'll choose to be strongly connected to their family, so the in-laws. So the partner who strongly is connected to his parents or her parents, because the eighth house is the in-laws and the parents of the spouse and so on. But sometimes the marriage can be delayed, and financial stability in marriage can come later for Cancers, at least after 30, 35 onwards, because Saturn rules both the seventh, the marriage, and the eighth. Sometimes it can be even more delayed, and the eighth house of mutual stability and so on financially. But now there is also the connection between, I think we covered them all for Cancer. Okay, we covered Cancer. So I forgot to say about Cancers and the relationship between their sixth and ninth house. Ninth house is the house of good fortune, good luck. If you want things to run smoothly in your life, to align, to be at the right place at the right time. It's if they are having bad luck, basically they can work a bit on the sixth house to unlock the good luck, and that would be have a pet, for example. That would be helping those in need. That would be, and it's kind of hands-on, dirty your hands, because sometimes people try and focus just on resolving some spiritual, psychological issue or sense of unhappiness, which can be the ninth house if it's not working well. And they focus too much on themselves. But for Cancer, it'd be good to do this acts of service for others in any possible way. Maybe just soup kitchen on the weekends, or anything that is more like helping others that are less fortunate than you. That will unlock your good fortune as well. Now we come to Leo rising, or if you have quite a the stellium in Leo, or even the moon in Leo. But again, always reminding you that the ascendant sign, the rising sign as we call it, is the first and most important one to check with this technique. So for Leo, the two houses starting, the first house is ruled just by the sun, so this is not, we're not going to cover it. But the second house and the 11th house are both ruled by the planet Mercury. And it means that Mercury immediately becomes, because in ancient astrology, the second house is the house of money and how you invest your money, whether you have inherited money from family, are you good with money, the energy of money overall, while the 11th house indicates your gains, the income that comes to you as a salary or as a business income. And one planet rules both. Immediately, Mercury, for all Leo rising people, all Leos becomes a planet of wealth. It rules the two most important houses of wealth. And if it happens that Leos tend to have a strong Mercury, which can be strong Mercury can be if it's in Gemini, if it's in Virgo, if it's in Taurus in the 10th house, even if it's in the 7th or the 1st, basically close to an angle as well, or in one of the, Mercury can be in the good houses, first, fifth, ninth. So a lot of good positions. They can make money. Mercury can become the planet that brings them a lot of money. And how do money can come to Leo? Usually through mercurial means. Mercury is the planet of business. Mercury is the planet of trade, and Mercury is the planet of business interactions of any sorts. So they can be very good traders or business persons overall if you're Leo rising. And usually through communications in some way, because this is Mercury. And the second house is not just money, it's the house of speech. It rules here the throat, the mouth, the sound that comes from you, the voice. So they can make money through their speech also, and communications, because it's Mercury. And the 11th house is the house of reaching large audience. So Leo is one of those that can have a lot of people follow them. 11th house is your followers, your clients, the audience that you might have. It's society overall. So their information, Mercury, or their voice and their speech can reach and impact large numbers of people, the 11th house. So that's why Leo has this affinity to even become famous in some way and make money through that. Also, in some way, their money can be connected to the right people that they know. For example, they might have clients or followers or fans or benefactors, which is all the 11th house, who offer them or come to them with a great idea that can become financially, because it's the rule of the second house again, that can become financially rewarding for them. Or maybe someone of their acquaintances, which is again the 11th house, or a friend, can come up with ideas. So they have to pay attention other people in their social circle. If they come up with good ideas financially or offering them some support, it doesn't always have to be something financial, but maybe some skills, some knowledge, some information that they can benefit materially from. Because Mercury rules both the second house of money and 11th house of society and social circle. And becomes, again, if their Mercury is good, as I said, in one of the air signs or in the angular houses, as we call it very often, or the trinal, they definitely mercurial means writing, communication, speaking can be way for them for wealth and abundance of some sort. Now, the next house is the third house. It's ruled by Venus. And the 10th house for Leo is also ruled by Venus. So we have a connection between the third house of communication. Second is the voice and making a speech, for example. That's why I'm so good at those monologues, because I'm a Leo moon. But the third house is communication, exchange with another, information of any sort. And the 10th house is career and vocation. The same planet connects those. So Leos can become very public because of information that they share, because of some skills that they teach others. They can reach high up there. Just like Mercury can make them famous to many people, 11th house reaching large groups of people, again through communications, there is a connection, and bring them money. Venus, as a ruler of the third house of a communication itself, and the 10th house of career and vocation, again makes this connection, either social media connection to their career, some kind of a team interactions as well, or even in the spheres of Venusian businesses, which are luxury, beauty, entertainment, anything that is very attractive, anything that is pleasing aesthetically, that they do the marketing, for example, that the third house is connected to all this, or and that can bring them career achievements, basically. And they have this ability to charm others with their public image, because it's ruled by Venus, and by the way they communicate. There is this definitely part of the Leo charm counts as Venus, the ruler of the 10th house of the public image, even those Leos can be sometimes too abrupt, but their public image can be very favorable, especially Venus is favorable. Then also it can indicate that in their career, they can use writing, speaking, communications, anything of the third house. So short trips are part of their career, daily trips a lot. Now, the next house for Leo is ruled by Mars, Scorpio. And the 9th house, Aries, is also ruled by Mars. So we have a connection between the 4th and the 9th house. So the most simple thing is 4th house is home, 9th house is travels, foreign country. So there can be periods of the life of Leo as a repeating topic where they live abroad, or where they feel abroad in foreign countries as well. Especially if this Mars is good for them in one of the fire signs, or in its own sign, or in Aries, or in Leo, or in Sagittarius, or in strong on an angle. They definitely will have periods where their living conditions, where they live, is somehow connected to faraway places, 9th house. Another way is Mars becomes, just like Mercury becomes their wealth money for Leo, Mars becomes their Raj Yoga planet. What is a Raj Yoga? Translated in Western language, it rules both an angle and a trine house. And again, this works with whole sign house system, and it really works. You'll see it. So 9th house is inspiration, or any kind of trinal house, first, fifth, 9, inspiration, and any kind of angular house is action. So Mars becomes a planet of inspiration and action for Leo. So actually Leos do good if they use their Mars, even if they're sometimes harsh and abrupt. This brings fortune for them. Even if there is attacks on them, because Mars can be a planet where they're being attacked for their opinions, for their image, the enemies, Mars naturally rules enemies and attacks. Actually, this makes Leo, rising people in particular, stronger and activates their luck. The 9th house is the house of good fortune, of good luck, and the inspiration. So they, using Mars, oftentimes it would be advice for people, be careful with Mars, but not Leo. Leos can be, of course, don't go fighting with others all the time, but protecting, being strong, being enterprising, deciding on something and jumping after it, going after it rather than waiting for things to them for them. This is what brings them luck and success. Raj Yoga is luck and success because they get inspiration and they act on it. Trinal house inspiration, angular house acting. And this will bring them success. Mars activities overall bring success to Leo. and dharma, good fortune in some way. So another way this can play out is, yes, they would have fights with others about opinions. It is Mars after all, and their belief systems and so on. But they also are very idealistic. Ninth house is ideals about their place of birth, their country, their national defense. The fourth house is the protective house of motherland, home, country. They can even become a bit they can take up to arms if they have to protect their family or their country life, because Mars also rules their belief systems. How many holy wars were started because of strong belief system? And Mars is the planet that really, when it focuses on something, when they believe in something, their ninth house, they're willing to go and protect and defend, especially connected to their fellow man, countrymen. They're patriotic. Leo is a very patriotic sign because of that. Another connection is that the fourth house rules real estate, and ninth house is the lucky house, fortune house. They can be lucky and fortunate through real estate. Who is a Leo rising? Donald Trump, for example. He's made his fortunes through real estate. Also, family can, the family of origin can bring fortune, the ninth house. So that's another connection we see there. I can talk for hours about that, but we don't want to make it too long. Okay. Then, I forgot to say something. Leo as well. Oh yes, we came to Jupiter. Jupiter rules now Leo's fifth house and Leo's eighth house. So we connect those two topics, and Jupiter is a very generous and noble planet. So the areas of the fifth house and the ninth and the eighth house are connected for Leo. Eighth house, for example, is resources for others or resources from others, how you give and receive. So Leos are known to be very generous, usually, to give to others. And the fifth house is another house of fortune. This is your good fortune from past lifetimes that you've gathered, the fifth house. The fifth house is your good dharma or karma, whatever you want to call it, if you've done good deeds. And often, if Jupiter rules it, you'd have a bit more better fortune, better accumulated, especially if Jupiter is strong in your horoscope, in one of the fire signs. In the water signs, Jupiter is strong on an angle as well. And they can share their good fortune with others. Eight houses to give or receive from others. They can also be more lucky in games of fifth house and eighth house are connected to gambling. Fifth house in particular is investments that, what's that called? Eighth house would be something like stock market or receiving money from somewhere, suddenly out of the blue, unexpectedly. It can be inheritance or something like that. So they can be fortunate as well to receive something like that. And the fifth house would be speculative investment. So maybe you bought 5 Bitcoins years ago and suddenly you have a million, So that can be somehow, especially if Jupiter is strong, that naturally Leos have this luck more to get resources from unexpected sources, almost like a gambling game, which is connected to the fifth house as well, almost like a luck. Fifth house is one of the houses of luck again. Just like real estate can bring them luck and fortune, the same way this eighth house, other people's resources. But Leos will also be generous with their luck, especially with their creative ideas. Fifth house is the intelligence of a person, not the intelligence how well you can memorize something, how original you are in your own thought. This is true intelligence, to invent something that is your own original thought. So Leo has naturally quite expansive intelligence. If you're born with Leo rising, Sun or Moon, you're already blessed because Jupiter rules your fifth house of intelligence, very open-minded intelligence. But also they share it with others, especially their creative ideas, their creative projects. Eighth house is also the house of post-mortem, death, for after death. They can create something, fifth house, that stays for after their death, that they become known for even for after their death. Or it can also mean, because Jupiter is a fortunate planet, that if there are big disasters, eighth house would rule something sudden, divorce, death of someone, catastrophe, bankruptcy, whether in their own life or the whole economy or something, some kind of a something out of the blue happening in the world, Leos can really be creative. This can activate the inspiration of this moment. This can activate them to the imagination too quickly, which is the fifth house, their creative intelligence to get activated and to even benefit from such more extreme situations, say divorce is happening or a bankruptcy, and that immediately makes the creative juices flow and think of new ideas from which they benefit, because Jupiter is a planet of wealth. So wealth can come through them through creative ideas and sudden shocks as well. But of course, this can be unstable because the eighth house, there is some instability, this kind of fortune of the fifth house as well. There can be also a tendency to eighth house rules secrets. Fifth house is romantic relationships, that there's indication there. There is connection, eighth house secrets, fifth house romantic relationships, or connection between sudden. Eighth house is something sudden, fifth house is pregnancies, children, unexpected surprise, kind of rather than planned. Now the next house for Leos that is ruled by two planets is the sixth house and the seventh house, and it's Saturn. Not an easy planet, especially for Leo. Saturn is a bit of an enemy planet, as it's known, because it's the opposite, the light and the darkness of Saturn, the furthest visible planet away. So when we have one Saturn ruling both the sixth and the seventh, let's combine seventh houses relationships, especially with clients or sexual relationships, in a sense, partnerships. Sixth houses work. For example, you can meet, Leos can meet partners at their work. Like my mom is a Leo 5 planet stellium. She met my father at work. 7-6 house connection. And or there is they can work with a partner as well. Or a good remedy, because sixth house is also the house of dissolution of marriage, one of the houses of divorce. Dissolution of marriage, because it is the 12th. The 12 dissolves everything from whatever house it is of the 7th. So sixth house can be a dissolution of marriage, but especially more karmic relationships. Especially first marriage for Leo can be more karmic, even though lasting, because Saturn rules the 7th and the 6th house, the traditional ruler. Or they can be stuck in a relationship that is not easy. It is karmic for them, but stuck for many years. But because Saturn also rules the 6th house of dissolution, there is a possibility that they can be, a divorce that happens with the first marriage. But usually there is some karmic obligation to the first marriage partner, and together, mutual, because sixth house also rules obligations, karmic obligations, just like fifth house, as you remember, rules the good karma we have from past lifetimes or this lifetime. The sixth house rules the obligations we haven't fulfilled in past lifetimes. So you might be taking care of a partner or supporting sometimes, not necessarily financially. And they can be some kind of a, sometimes, especially if Saturn is in a difficult position, say it's in the 8th, in the 12th house, or in the 4th house where it doesn't like, in the water signs in particular, they can be like Leo rising people in particular can have because sixth house rules also enemies, and that their partner can be like their enemies, or they can be more animosity there. And the need to bear through, because Saturn is like pay your dues, bear through. Of course, the situation is very different for second marriage, but for that I have a different video. Second marriage is indicated by the second house, and that would be much more mercurial, light energy, rather than the first marriage. But I'm not saying Leos should divorce, not at all. But also their partner can be someone that works very hard, or in the service industry. Sixth house is service industries. Seventh house is their partner. And sometimes Leo might expect others to serve them. Seventh house is others, sixth house is servants. So Leo might expect from their partner to serve them. Well, actually, Leo has a karmic obligation also to their partners. But it also indicates that oftentimes Leo or Leo rising people have a duty, sixth house, towards society. Seventh house is not only partners. This is one of the society houses. And some kind of a service, might be social, whatever work they're doing, to offer it as service to society. Also, Leo can, the combination of the 7th and 6th Lord is kind of 7th house is consulting, clients. Sixth house is problems, someone who is in a conflicting situation, someone who is in a situation that is less unbalanced in some way. So Leo might have this kind of stabilizing, Saturn is stabilizing influence on others, uh, through the work they do, and people out of balance by consulting them in some way. And yeah, so public service and so on. It can be service to society. So this is for Leo. Now let's pass for Virgo. Sun, Moon, or Rising, especially Rising Ascendant is very important. Virgo, the first house of Virgo is ruled by Mercury, but so is the 10th house of Virgo ruled by Mercury as well. So it shows how important it is. What is the first house? Is the self, the fulfillment of the self, uh, and your path in life. The 10th house is your career or the karmas you're doing, the actions in this life. And that's why it's so important for Virgo to have a profession where they have great skills for profession. Naturally, they're very skillful sign because the two most important houses are ruled by Mercury for them. And oftentimes Virgo really, this is the identity, what you identify with. They really self-identify with their career and their work. And often Virgos can reach high positions in career, in business, in especially through mercurial means, either through communication, through skills, through information, through administration, arrangement, organization of some sort. That's why often Virgo people tend to be really, really good organizers at work. They tend to be the best employees oftentimes, especially when they have to deal with details and administrative tasks and communications of any sort. But it's also a promise that Virgos will commit themselves, and a lot of part of their identity is connected to their work. They would commit themselves, especially mercurial job, communication, information, and so on, and data, information analysis, and so on. This is all Mercury. Also, they can be very identified. The 10th house is one of the parents. They can even look, because the first house is how you look and you act, or what really impacts your path in life and your decisions in life. One of the parents, or even the parent's career or appearance, might make, that's usually the father, but not always. Nowadays the roles of father and mother can be reversed, so it can be the mom or the dad that really impacts, and that they feel really identified with that person. They kind of repeat the steps of career, their life path in some way, but usually they would reach high positions there if they start doing something. Then the second house of Virgo is ruled by Venus, but so is their 9th house. So the second house is money. 9th house is fortune, luck. So Venus is a good planet, in a sense, benefic. So Virgo can have good fortune with finances, especially where can their finances be connected to the 9th house, to very good high education, access to good elite school or education. 9th house is higher studies, higher knowledge. Even if you don't have like a diploma degree, they can get a good teacher or a mentor of some sort, which is the 9th house. And that definitely, it's a good idea for Virgos to have some degrees or to study with a teacher or to expand their knowledge. They learn with ease. Venus is the planet of ease. 9th house is higher knowledge. Second house is, this can stabilize their finances. It's kind of fortunate for finances for them if they have knowledge, especially about, and it's also, second house is the speech. They can be speaking important humanistic topics of important 9th house rules, things that improves humanity, knowledge, or actions that improve overall humanity. It's kind of idealistic house that wants everyone to progress. And the second house, the house of speech, they can do something that's connected to speech that uplifts humanity as well. But their ideals and their morals, the 9th house is morals. The more, now here is the connection. The more moral they are, the more money they will have. Connection between the 9th and the 2nd promises this. And actually, if they're not moral, if they don't follow the rules of the 9th house, their finances can suffer a lot. What is to be moral? There are 10 rules of morality. You just explore them. There is don't lie, don't steal, don't harm others, don't even with the sexual promiscuity and so on. Just any kind of religious thing has these moral codes, these spiritual moral codes. The more loftier your behavior is, the more your finances will be. So don't tell lies. The more you tell the truth, the more you're, and so and so. Don't kill, of course. That's not that it's jealousy, envy. The more your finances increase. So it's your morality and virtue. Our ninth house is also to work on yourself, to upgrade yourself. It's self-expansion through knowledge, through self-help, self-knowledge of some sort, or prayer, God connection, or even exercises. What can expand their finances if they have problem is this ninth house. Prayer or visualizing techniques. Ninth house is one of the house of spiritual practices, in some sort. And if Virgo do that, visualize it, expand it, make it bigger, and so on, think money will be really, really good for them. Okay, then the next planet is the third house. Mars rules the third house for Virgo, but it also rules the eighth house. So we have a connection between the third house, the mind, the everyday self talk. How do you talk to yourself? How do you talk to others? This internal dialogue and external dialogue is ruled by a very harsh planet, Mars. No wonder Virgos are known to be very self-critical. It's not just the Virgo qualities. This third house is ruled by Mars and Scorpio in particular, where Scorpio digs in and tries to look for everything under the surface, and it's harsh in its voice. So they can have this, in communications, they can cut sharp, straight to the point with the Scorpio third house Mars, that rules it, and expose hidden things. Because the eighth house is something hidden. It's something that is, let's say our inner demons, or something that is faulty. In another name for the eighth house is the faulty house, like the fault lines of the continents, where we don't see them, but they're there. And every time there is an earthquake, this is where it happens, because of the fault lines. So the eighth house, the house of earthquakes. So something they are able to see, like the underwater currents, and very sharply with the Mars, it gets to their mind, and to warn people, to tell people this is a problem. This can create a rift. This can create a fault, eighth house. This can create a cataclysm, catastrophe, or a big problem for you, which is other indications of the eighth house. That's why they're very perspicacious, is that, when it comes to dangers, when it comes to something that is maybe fishy. Their mind can suss it out when it's fishy, eighth house, hidden, or something like that, or dangerous as well, and to act on them. Also, they're great researchers. Eighth house is to dig and research, and third house is your mind. So your mind is very fast and good researcher, but also when in their communications, third house, they can be very sharp, and they can communicate about eighth house things, taboo things, things that are kind of not usually part of polite society conversation. Things that, okay, death, the occult, abuse, such kind of more poignant topics. This is what Virgo are very good at talking about. That's why oftentimes they can do very good psychologists as well. Eighth house is the house of traumas, but also understanding the deep meaning of those and communicating it. There is a connection channel planet that sees what the deep issue is with the eighth house of psychology and astrology and the occult, and communicates it in simple terms. Third house, Mars, and almost like in an intervention point, without complications, Mars cuts right to the heart with their communications when they blurt out and say things that can hurt others and so on. So yeah, but of course there can be a lot of power struggles. The eighth house rules power struggles with others, the psychological power struggles, in their communications in their everyday environment. Third house rules those people, whether siblings, whether relatives, whether teammates, workmates, people at your work, people in your everyday environment, or mates of any sorts, or relatives. They can be because Mars is the ruler of the third house of those people, in the eighth house of battleground. Another word for the eighth house is the battleground and power struggles. They can be those things with them as well. But those relationships usually very transformational with them. Okay, now the next is the fourth house for Virgo. Jupiter rules both the fourth house and the seventh house. It's a benefic planet. And we have this knowledge of chastity for Virgo, which is not always the truth. But if they have Virgo rising, they have a good Jupiter, say in Scorpio, Sagittarius, in the water fire signs, it loves to be a lot, or good aspects to Jupiter. They would have this natural chastity. What is chastity? It's because Jupiter rules both others and their sexual relationships. Yes, the seventh house, the house of intimate relationships in ancient astrology, and the fourth house of happiness and not needing anything from outside. Fourth house, another spiritual deep meaning is that, and because Jupiter is a good planet, they usually tend to feel self-content. They don't want it from the other always. They don't, unless Jupiter is really in a difficult situation in their horoscope. But in most cases, you'd see that Virgo rising people, they're like emotionally self-contained. And they often would extract a lot of happiness and joy, Jupiter, the planet of joy, from relationships. Fourth house is the house of contentment, happiness, internal satisfaction, and seventh house is relationships. It usually tends to be good for relationships for Virgo rising people in particular, Sun and Moon as well, but to a second degree. And oftentimes, so this chastity comes that they don't need externally, so they have emotionally, internally, they don't demand it from another, especially if Jupiter is good. Because they recognize their feelings, their emotions, and so on. But there can be a lot of joy in relationships for Virgo rising people, interesting enough. Also, Jupiter can indicate that their partner, that it's easier for them, or they can gain property after they get married. Fourth house is property, real estate, or that they can afford, that property comes to them when they're in a committed relationship. Or if you're very single, Virgo, but you want property, partner with another. Jupiter immediately gives the green light because it rules the seventh and the fourth. Partner with another to buy property together, like, on both of your names, even if you're not a family. This also indicates that there can be some similarity between the marriage partner and the family. Maybe the marriage partner can look like the mother. Usually the fourth house is the mother, but it can be the father. And there is this identification or even closeness sometimes between the mother or one of the parents is the fourth house and the partner. Also, it means these people, Virgos, they would marry for family. They would marry to create a family, to settle down. Seventh house, marry. Seventh house, create family. But it's also very good. And usually their first marriage they would often be easy access to creating family and so on. It's never 100%, but we're seeing the connections here. Also, seventh house is negotiations and contract. Fourth house is real estate. Virgo rising people, or Sun or Moon to a lesser degree, but as well, can be, and Jupiter's planet of wealth, can have wealth through real estate or contract making, negotiations for real estate, the land, and so on. Also, the partner can be very invested in raising the family. The partner, and that's what they should look for. First marriage partner for Virgos should be someone who is generous with their time and their parenting skill and the time they spend in the home. The rule of the seventh and the fourth is the same. Someone who wants family, who is family oriented and possessing properties and so on, or you together to possess properties, or even this can mean a partner can buy your property as well, or help you with real estate in some way. So we can talk a lot more about that, but we have to progress further. Then the next house for Virgo is also some remedies if for Virgo's relationships are not going well. For Virgo rising, especially relationships are not going well. and they feel very intense about that in a negative way, and they can't shift their energy there with relationships. Then focus the attention to the fourth house. Straighten, and if you have less resistance, straighten your relationship with family, with mother. Help your mother in some way, Jupiterian way, being giving, generous with your time, with whatever. Or start taking care of a piece of land or plot, or kind of Jupiter is maybe make an altar. Jupiter is kind of spiritual altar at your home, fourth house. This can start unlocking the issue with relationships. Or the other way around, if you have problems with real estate, with property, with family, focus on the seventh house where you have less resistance. Maybe create some bridges with others, help others, interact with others more, and that can start unlocking, or you can find like a middleman for you. The seventh house is intermediary of some sort when it comes to real estate for you, rather than doing it directly yourself. So these are some practical questions. Now for Virgo, Saturn also rules the fifth and the sixth house. So we have a connection between the fifth and the sixth house. So what could it mean? First of all, it can mean that the work, sixth house is connected to work, can be, fifth house is connected to your own passions, in a sense, your own hobbies, something that you're very passionate about. So Virgo is one of those lucky signs who, especially later in life, because Saturn rules those houses, so it's after 30, 35, they can turn a hobby, which is the fifth house, or something they're very passionate about, that they have creative intelligence about, that there's original idea of theirs, into work. So this is a combination. If you have the ruler of the fifth and the sixth conjunct, or like in your case, Virgos, the same planet rules fifth and sixth house, this would be Saturn, you can turn something that you're naturally talented for, like a natural talent is the fifth house, naturally good skill, that into your work. So having your own business, self-employment is part of you. Plus, you as Virgos are really invested into this 10th house, into your career overall. In 6th house is the service you do. But of course, for Virgos, children might be delayed. Saturn rules this 5th house, and the 6th house, the house of delays. So there can be delays there sometimes. And you tend to be more of a disciplinarian when it comes to children. It might be a good remedy to 6th house is cleaning. Maybe teach your kids to clean with you. That can be a good remedy. Or if you're having problems getting pregnant, for example, the 5th house, or having a child, focus on the 6th house instead, where you have less resistance, which can be your work or workout routine, exercise. Be very meticulous, be very consistent, which is Saturn. You have to have patience for, 6th and 5th house matters, romantic life, children. But focus on the 6th house. If you have resistance in the 5th house, so your romantic life is not good. If your children, relationship with children, or getting a child is hard, or giving birth to a child or something like that, or creativity is blocked, then activate Saturn by focusing on the other house, the 6th house. So everyday routines, create some routines. 6th house, the house of health routines and so on. And it might be 5 minutes, but be consistent. Maybe workout, exercise. Saturn rules weights, some weightlifting. Focus on doing health stuff, 6th house, and other kind of holistic things, nutrition, smoothies, whatever, which you naturally like. This immediately can start improving the vibration of your love house and children house as well. Or the other way, if you have health problems, or 6th house work problems of some sort, employment problems with finding a job or with your employees, which is 6th house rules all of those things. Focus on the 5th house if you have less resistance to it. Focus on creativity. Focus on taking some hobby and being very consistent with it. Whatever that creative talent is, be very consistent. This will start unblocking the problems with your work or with your health. Also, health problems can be worked for you through art attack, but very consistently, something creatively. Any disbalances for you can be addressed through creativity in some way, art therapy and stuff like that. And it's because Saturn rules those areas, it doesn't come to naturally to one, but push through it with consistency. But one of these indications is self-employment. It can give having your own business as work, and so on. So what else can we say here? I think that's enough. I can carry on, but again, we don't want to make this video too long and some signs be upset that the others have it longer. So yeah, the combination, think of other ideas, combination of 5th and 6th houses, how this can be affected for you. Now I can't think, but on my courses I have way more in-depth suggestions that I do on astrolada.com, covering all those signs for 4 hours for each ascendant sign for these combinations. Okay, now Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising, especially Rising. For you, Venus rules both the 1st house and the 8th house. So you're intrinsically connected by birth, if you're a Libra strong, with the 8th house of transformation. So this is not a life on a straight path. This is a life 8th house gives like sudden vicissitudes, sudden reversals, changes, big transformations. No matter how balanced Libra is, their life path tends to be going like that, and suddenly some reversal, some big change, something surprising. So usually you haven't seen them for 5-6 years. 5-6 years later you see them, their life is on a very different trajectory than before, because something suddenly happened, or because the 1st house is them, oftentimes they'll do those transformations themselves, and 8th house is connected to any kind of big changes, whether it's divorces, changes of jobs, and it's sudden and it's fast. And sometimes they can even have situations that they're on the edge, they've gone to the edge and come back, or near-death experiences sometimes, or they've been to the abyss and back. But usually because Venus rules the 8th house, they accept it very peacefully, that this is part of life, that the big shake-ups in life, Libras can be surprisingly balanced and very good, and even in critical, this is what would actually activate them. Something happens, they get fired, they get divorced, bankruptcy, or some other things happening. I know, because my husband is Libra rising. He gets most activated into action, which is the 1st house, because Venus rules the 1st house. So there's a bit of laziness there with Libra in the actions. But because Venus rules also the 8th house, what can activate them into personal activation and action, the 1st house. Sometimes when there is a shock, it might be a small shock, not necessarily deaths and whatever, a small shock and this really activates them. So crises for you are like, have oftentimes through crisis you can really benefit in some way to activate you and to give you a new identity, to give you a new self-realization. So Libras transform on a regular basis in their life. They're very different 10 years from here. How they feel, what they are, their life is not like that, keeps going the same way. So they can surprise you. Plus, they can benefit through inheritances, or kind of even unexpected things. Someone dies, they didn't know, leaves them an inheritance or something. But the 8th house is the partner's resources as well. So there is a very strong identification on your path of life with the partner's resources. Oftentimes, partner's resources can really change their path in life for better or worse. Usually it's for the good, whether it's business partner, that's why Libras like to do relationships, partnerships, or whether it's marriage partner, because Venus rules the 8th house of other people's finances and their life path, the 1st house. So it tends to give good stuff unless Venus is really smashed. Say Venus for them might be in the 12th house in Virgo, conjunct Saturn, conjunct South Node, something like that, then it might get worse when it comes to other people's finances. But usually in most cases they can make a lot more money when they're in a partnership business or whatever, and their path in life is very influenced as well, and the new directions and opportunities open for them as well, or inheritances and so on. But also Libra can be good in any roles that are about emergency and soothing others in cataclysmic changes, life changes, situations, even like a psychologist, because Venus has this very nurse-like soothing quality, and Libra naturally embodies it as ruled by Venus in the 8th house. They can even have natural understanding of the big shakeups in life and help others pass through them smoothly, or natural occult understanding, accepting it very naturally. Those really dark stuff of life that others, and you think Libra would be like, no, I'm a princess. No, there is this connection with the 8th house where the scary dark stuff, they accept them with very Venusian grace and can help others, or even have very deep understanding about it and healing understanding. So Libras can be associated with healing paths, with occult paths, with astrology and consulting and psychology about, those more intense experiences. And there's kind of this 8th house is the house of the gates to the invisible worlds, that Libra more easily can astral travel or have signals from the dead and so on. Now, so this is not a superficial, if you're Libra rising, it's not a superficial position because of the connection to the 8th house. And of course, Libra can make money through others if they're involved with banks and other people's resources. They can be very good at going somewhere with their personality and say, to do funds for others, maybe to gather funds for some venture or whatever. This can be really good because it happens with ease. Venus rules the money of others and you. So very diplomatically and charmingly can get others' investments in some way, hopefully. Venus is not necessarily moral. Venus is just allows things to happen with charm and easy. Now the other house, let's go for Venus, is Mars, rules the 2nd house and the 7th house. Now we see another connection. 2nd house is your financial situation. 7th house is your relationships, the partner themselves. We see like a repeat of the topic that the path of life of Libras is connected to others' resources and can be really changed by others' resources. Now we see how their own money is very much connected on partnerships. That's another strong reason Libras are often drawn to form partnerships. Almost like, now here it can be more unexpected, but relationships can really change their financial status, especially if Mars is good in a fire sign, in a water sign. Mars also likes being in Capricorn as well. They can gain through by making business partnership contracts, or something that is gain, like financially something is about negotiation, consulting, but usually in business deals as well. Because Mars is more forceful, they're very good at being fair still, but forcefully going, and not forceful, let's say very sharply forging deals that will as well impact their financial situation. So any kind of collaborations or marriage can really change their financial situation. In worst case scenario, there can be battles with the partners because of money, because Mars is the ruler, the planet of fighting, especially if Mars has some bad aspects, hard aspects, is in the difficult signs. Mars doesn't like Virgo and Gemini too much, but it's in the 9th there, or in the 8th here. They can be more complicated, so there can be some power struggles or fights, Mars, when it comes to relationships, but somehow their resources and relationships are very much connected. But they would go vigorously after both, and oftentimes their partner will really change their financial situation, because Mars goes vigorously after whatever house it rules. So they go vigorously after pursuing contracts, agreements, relationships, and financial stability as well, and they're somehow connected. And there is another interesting thing is that, okay, I'm not gonna go there, but this is about first and second marriage. I have a specific video about that if you're interested on my website, Astrolada. Second marriage is again the 2nd house, and the first and second marriage is very connected, so that's a different topic. But we continue. The 3rd house from Libra is ruled by Jupiter. And so is the 6th house of Libra, ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter is naturally a benefic, but it rules a bit more difficult houses there, because one of the 6th house. And so let's connect the topics of the 3rd and the 6th house. So the 6th house is your service, your work. Not necessarily your vocation always and the grand things you do in life, but your everyday duties that you have and responsibilities. And it's oftentimes they're connected to some kind of communications, transactions, interactions, which is the third house. Oftentimes they have multiple, Jupiter is multiple contacts, communications, interactions, plus multiple duties, and so on, Pisces there. But there is some kind of mingling and exchange between work and duties and responsibilities and communications, media, marketing, even third house rules, all of those things, and meetings and so on. Kind of a busy energy there. But third house is also, so we can connect the work to third house as well, that we talked about. Third house is also siblings. So they might work with siblings, for example. And usually because Jupiter is not a planet of sixth house is the house of enemies as well, but Jupiter is a very benevolent planet, so that it's not usual that they'll have enemies, with with a lot of animosity with others, but they can be this connection between the sixth house and the third house of siblings, neighbors, relatives. Um, that, for example, they can work with such people, they can do some projects together, which is the sixth house. In more extreme cases, if Jupiter is really harmed, they can be this issue of sixth house of more efforts in such relationships, especially if Jupiter is in a bad cosmic state. Now you have to do a bit more digging. Is it with hard aspects? Is it in a sign it doesn't like, in a house it doesn't like? Then sixth house is the house of conflicts, and third house is those everyday communications. There can be some issues there, but otherwise it's not a problem because it's a benefic planet, Jupiter. Now the next combination for Libra is Saturn, that rules the fourth house here, Capricorn, and the fifth house. The traditional ruler of both. Saturn is the traditional ruler of Capricorn and Aquarius. Now we have a powerful connection between the fourth and the fifth house. By the way, for Libra, Saturn is a benefic, even though it's a hard planet. Things in that area of life, family, kids, whatever, property will happen with efforts and delays, but for Libra, Saturn is not a body, because Saturn for Libra rising people in particular rules both an angle and a trine. Becomes a Raj Yoga or Atma Karaka, whatever they called it in Vedic astrology. When a planet rules both a angular house of action and a trinal house of divine inspiration, then the person receives inspiration and acts on it, and it becomes a planet of blessings. So they get an inspiration, they act on it. So what I'm trying to say is that Saturn is actually Saturn's transits are always hard, whatever, but often they'll give very good results, the final results for Libra. And actually Libra rising, sun, moon, rising, especially rising people, sun or moon, with age, which is Saturn, their life gets better. Their life gets more stable. Because fourth house rules also the last part of life after whatever, 50, 60, the second part of life. In some astrologers even say after 40, 42. And Saturn is a stable planet, and it's a yoga karaka for Libra, which is a good planet. So even though they have a lot of perturbations as the ruler of the eighth, and the first gives a lot of transformations in their life and connection to the occult and so on, the older they get, the more stable their life gets, because Saturn rules the last part of their life here, the second part, if you want, the fourth house, what they call it. And they'll have more fortune because Saturn rules also the fifth house, usually later in life. But let's connect the meaning of the fourth and the fifth house. Fourth house is real estate, fifth house is fortune or income from real estate, especially after 30, 35, when Saturn matures after 35. Libras can have some really good income from real estate, especially if they have a good Saturn, but more often than not, Libras can benefit through real estate. They can even inherit sometimes real estate, the connection between the first and the eighth. So that might be a good long lasting. They won't have fast returns. Saturn rules the gains from fifth house, the gains from property, and fourth house real estate. But they need to invest conservatively, long term, and in the long term, they can have, and of course, not speculative investments, because Saturn rules their fifth house of speculative investments speculatively best for them, real estate, and so on. Something more conservative, lasting. Also, they can be very good. Fifth house is creativity, fourth house is the home. A lot of times, Libra rising, sun or moon can be very good to like home designers. Fifth house is creative idea, fourth house is real estate. Saturn is about architecture, design, structure. So that's really good careers as well, either in real estate for Libra rising people. And again, they have to be patient. Things might start slowly in those themes of real estate and whatever, and lands. But Saturn, because it rules a lucky house for them as well, will guarantee good gradual success, then stable, long term. So creativity with home and so on. As a parent, there might be delay with children and parenthood, because Saturn rules those two houses, parenthood fourth, children fifth. But they usually the disciplining parent, because Saturn connects the parenting role, fourth house ruler, in the fifth house the child. So if they're married, maybe they should be the most strict parent. I'm not saying the punishing necessarily, unless Saturn is very cruel, but they tend to have this role. Plus, oftentimes as children, they also had more kind of Saturn ruling their fourth house. There was a kind of either separation with parents or kind of more stricter environment for them, and they tend to apply it after that in their life as parents themselves. But yeah, creativity and home is connected. And also the fifth house, the house of intelligence. So the intelligence, your natural intelligence. Some people are very logical. Some people are very emotional intelligence. Your true intelligence for Libras is Aquarius, based Saturnian rule, which is kind of can be brilliant because of Uranus rulership, but they have a sober intelligence, and kind of a mind that is kind of, the intelligence is stable, and kind of, it can be a bit dry, but it's realistic in a sense. So they kind of, again, this guarantees more and more stability in life with older age. And romantic life as well. The rule of the fifth is their romantic life, connected to the ruler of the fourth house. What can we say, fourth house? They can say, for example, that later in life, their romantic life can be, late in life, fourth house can be more busy than early in life, because Saturn usually doesn't give so easy early in life. Can be more trying, but usually commit, but later in life, this can become more busy as well. Also, they can be very good in roles. The fourth house rules the common people, so does Saturn in astrology. And the fifth house is to be popular, to be in the center stage roles. The combination of Saturn as the ruler of popular people with the fourth house, which is the people of the country folk, the common people as well. People from one's town, people from one's nation, they can be in center stage roles, for example, in local governance. This is very often noticed with Libra, because Saturn is more of an administrative governing planet. Fourth house is, as I said, fifth house is to be center stage, to be popular, and fourth house is the people, so they can often be popular with the normal people in political or such kind of roles in some way. So there you go, Libra. I thought I covered enough, quite a few for you. Yeah. We carry on with Scorpio rising or Scorpio moon, or to some degree also Scorpio sun. Scorpios are ruled by Mars, the traditional planet that rules them, and their path and life and destiny is ruled by Mars. But Mars also rules their sixth house. So there is a direct connection between first house, how they present as a personality, their path in life, and the sixth house. That's actually the reason why Scorpios are, as they say, so biting, if I can say so, because the sixth house is the house of conflicts, is the house of warring, is the house of disagreement and accusations, and disagreements in some sort. And they're part of the path of the Scorpio's life because this is what makes them stronger and more resilient. And it's part of their personality. Whether they like it or no, people with strong Scorpio, they would encounter in their life sixth house enemies, which in ancient astrology, the sixth house is the enemies. They would accusations, conflicts, they would search them out themselves or even create them because this is the way through which they grow. But Scorpio, because is ruled by Mars and the sixth house of also sixth house also rules if you have a litigation, if you are in some kind of court cases as well. But Scorpio tends to win because Mars rules their sixth house. Who wins the battle? Scorpio does. So even if they're being accused, even if they are getting into some troubles and into some fighting and accusations, usually they win eventually because Aries, the sixth house, is ruled by the same planet that rules sixth house is the conflict. They win over their enemies. This is very typical for Scorpio strong people, even if they're doing the long game, but they eventually win. As well, the sixth house is the house of service and work. So Scorpio is one of those signs that is extremely invested in their work to an extent that they can become quite competitive at their work, maybe the type that gets done twice as much as their other colleagues, and that can again create this kind of animosity at their workplace, or because they're pushing. Sixth house for Aries, for Scorpio is Aries, they pushing to get done more faster and so on. So this can create competitiveness at the work situation, or kind of more animosity with clients or with workmates and colleagues and employees. But usually Scorpio people are extremely invested in their work. The planet that rules them themselves works also their sixth house, and they achieve a lot at their work. Very productive, very efficient, and oftentimes their work is very much connected to Mars, and the employment is very much connected to the first house as well. And first house is the physical body, but it's Mars can be, they can be very good in army situations involved, like army, or where they're solving some problem, where they send special forces or agents of resolving some conflict, going there and sorting it quickly out, which is what Mars likes to do, to fix problems. So even in medical fields, especially if they're using instrument sharp things, again, Scorpio risings can be very successful in such things. Scorpio rising, anything that is to do with even litigation and law, kind of where there is conflict. Basically, they're going there. Two sides can decide. Sixth house rules divorces, broken contracts and agreements between people. And Scorpio can be one that goes and fixes quickly such problems. That's why they can be also in fields of disagreement, in fields of like being a lawyer or being a social servant, especially going to more dangerous social servant in more dangerous situations. They can be also firefighters, where you use kind of Mars things, instruments and so on, and technology to when a situation is more imbalance, which is the sixth house, or soldiers or police. That's very good careers for people with Scorpio strong in them. The ruler of the first, who they are, they identify very strongly with their work. Now, the next second house of Scorpio is ruled by Jupiter, and so is the fifth house. So Jupiter, the themes of the second and the fifth house are auspicious usually, and they're connected by a good planet, Jupiter, and they're connected. So what does it mean? Second house is finances, how much money you can save and you can have as a security. And fifth house is a very lucky house. Usually good karmas from past lives are stored. The good karma from past lifetimes is stored in the fifth house. So almost by like a karmic reward, Scorpio rising people can have financially more luck, because the fifth house is one of the luck houses and Jupiter rules the second as well. Combining the second and the fifth house, especially they can make money through gains, and second houses, the financial support you have through speculative investments. Fifth house rules those, even through gambling. Actually, you'd see that a lot of successful gamblers or people that even play in such kind of uncertain, with money in uncertain situations, uh, which is like playing a game, can have a strong Scorpio in their horoscope. I'm not saying that, yeah, Scorpio will always, win from lottery and such stuff, but especially if Jupiter is well placed in the horoscope in a fire sign. Jupiter also likes being in all the water signs. It loves all the water signs. Or Jupiter strong in, on the ascendant. These people definitely, Scorpios tend to have a more auspicious financial situation in life. And if they're having financial problems, they should, and if they have a strong resistance towards matters of finances, they should focus on the other house of Jupiter, the planet that rules their second house, which is the fifth. Maybe if they're having financial difficulty, they should spend more time with their child, or they should spend time more on their hobbies, which is another fifth house indications on creative, doing something creative. Can be, I don't know, music, painting, whatever it is. And this will unlock the blockage of financial situation as well. So also they can make money through creativity, fifth house, second house connection, or their children, once they have a child, their finances can increase. We always say once we have a child, we have less money, but here the luck, because Jupiter rules the luck of someone, and especially the financial luck for Scorpio, is connected to either having children or maybe doing donations to childhood charities if you don't have a child yourself. Because Jupiter is the planet of course, of helping those in need. Is the planet of charity, and fifth house is children. So if you have financial problems, donate to children or to kind of some artistic actors and people in the arts in some way. But they can make money by investing also in art. They can make money, maybe they buy a painting and 10 years later it's 30 times the price. Fifth house is also gains from real estate, and especially more luxury real estate is the fifth house, because Jupiter, is the ruler there. Scorpio people with strong Scorpio rising, sun or moon, they can make big money because Jupiter rules the second house from such kind of either speculative investments, arts, center stage roles, or luxury real estate as well. Or maybe also another way I've seen it play out is that when the children grow up, or even while they're young, the children can start making money. Ruler of second connected to the fifth, and they can contribute to the wealth of the Scorpio native as well. You know, uh, so even if you didn't make money yourself and you are late in age, but your child is just turning in their 30s or whatever, they can provide more wealth in some way for you. Okay, and if, for example, if you're having problems with children or romantic partners, which is the fifth house, and you have a lot of resistance in those topics, romantic life or children, then you can focus on the other house of Jupiter as a Scorpio, which is the second house. You can focus on to unblock and to activate the energy of Jupiter, which will activate problems and which will activate the positive resolution of fifth house issues, either with children, with lovers, and that would be second house thing. It can be, for example, I'm like, not get obsessed about money or anything like that, but that can be about yes, paying definitely attention to your financial situation, or it can be paying special attention to your teeth, to what you eat. So if you have problems with children or romantic life, change maybe something with your way of eating, which is the second house. So you can see whether you have problems in the fifth house or the second, use the other house to help with the resolution of those things. Now, the next house for Scorpios that are connected is the third, ruled by Saturn, and the fourth also traditionally ruled by Saturn. Usually Saturn ruling the place of living, fourth house, and third house of moving. They can be more often moves. Third house is moving, fourth house is staying put and settle. Even though Saturn rules this, those Saturn doesn't like to move much, but there is already a connection there. So they might be more moving, especially in the first part of a person's life, Scorpio's life. But usually later, after in their 50s and onwards, they would like to settle, because Saturn with age likes more stability, and usually they would buy property later in life, because Saturn delays those things, and they would settle a bit, later in a sense. Also, they can be strong responsibility, because Saturn rules that energy of responsibility towards younger siblings and mother or family. Even responsibilities with the real estate and the lands, and with younger siblings, maybe even from earlier life where they had to be more responsible towards such as well. And there might be some more of a karmic relationship there. Saturn is the karmic planet with younger siblings that has to be worked out. Usually with age, the relationship improves, which is the quality of Saturn. And with the mother or the mother side, and kind of like the fourth house can be mother or father. With the family overall, they can be this kind of this being more difficult earlier part in life, then becoming more easier later part in life. And it's very important for them to have communication, third house, with their family. These are connected topics. Even if they don't live close to them, some kind of to keep communication there. Let's see, if they have problems with the fourth house, for example, with real estate, maybe, and they have strong resistance to that, maybe they can focus on the third house, so they activate positively the ruler, the planet that rules both houses. What would be the third house? That's more like reading, communicating. That is more mental work of some sort. I know it doesn't sound logical, but it can somehow connect. And Saturn is a planet of delays, but gives better and better results later in age. And the third house is also a house that improves with age, usually after 30, 40s onwards. So they're saying that their family and emotional, because the fourth house is the emotions, the emotional well-being and their family situation, real estate situation, should improve with time. And again, another thing, if you have problems with your family, for example, go and do some short traveling, which is third house. So put attention to, or if you have real estate issues, maybe help one of your siblings, third house, that can unlock, the better karma of the fourth house. Then we continue to the next, which is Venus. For Scorpio rising, Venus rules both the 7th house and the 12th house. Now that will be interesting for some of you, because the planet of relationships gets connected, and the house of relationship gets connected to the 12th house, faraway places. One way I can see that this plays out in clients' horoscopes is that Scorpio strong people, rising moon, are more likely to meet a partner abroad or someone from a faraway place, for example, a different religion. 12th house is this house of something that is different than you. But also they have, especially their first marriage or marriage-like relationship where they have a child with someone or whatever, it's more karmic. 12th house is the past life karma. But not in a negative way, because Venus rules it. Doesn't have to be, unless Venus has a lot of hard aspects, conjunct Saturn, square Uranus, whatever. But usually there is a past life connection that is very sensual as well with their marriage, with their committed relationships. There might be the sense of, oh, I know you, I've known you before. But there's something unfinished from a past lifetime for many Scorpio people with in regards to partnerships and or even business partnership, not just marriage or sexual partners. And there's a lot of sensuality. Venus is a sensual planet in their relationships, and there's a lot of privacy. Scorpio 12th house is the house of something that is sacred, hidden, private, and they tend to prefer their relationships, even the ones official relationships, marriage relationships, to be much more private, almost as I said, like a sacred affair of some sort, rather than be too public to it. Also, if they have problems with relationships, for example, I can advise them to focus on the 12th house, so they activate, so to improve the 12th house, so they naturally will raise the vibration of the 7th house because it's ruled by the same planet. For example, if they have problems in relationships, they can meditate or they can travel abroad. Or even meet someone abroad to substitute the pain from the difficult relationships. So they can even meet people in more spiritual societies or partners in some kind of retreat if they go, which is ruled by the 12th house, or in a hotel, or maybe even to take their partner to a hotel or some kind of a retreat like spa place. Even it's good for them in relationships to keep the relationship going well, to do 12th house activities with the partner. Some maybe spiritual practices together, but that's not common. More like go to hotels, go to faraway lands together to activate, because there is a connection between 12 and the 7th house. But there is also this predisposition. 12th house is the enemy of marriage because it's the 6th from the 12th. Remember, I told you the 6th from any house, it's the enemy of that. So that would be like hidden lovers and so on. There is a chance that the marriage partnership or committed partnership might start as an affair. It's more likelihood for Scorpio than for other signs. Or while in a marriage, there is more likelihood to have some hidden affairs. There's connection there between the official relationship and hidden relationships. So I would advise them, to include that 12th house activity towards their relationships. And as I said, it can be spiritual practices, it can be foreign travel, or going to hotels together, and so on. There can be some hidden activities in relationships as well. This is part of the Scorpio fate, so to speak, and it is connected to past life connection there, 12th house as well. But usually, first life marriage partner is there's a lot of sensual attraction there, and they get drawn because Venus is very strongly drawing planet, almost through mystical ways. This 12th house, they might even dream first about their partner, 12th house, and so on. But there is a possibility also of the secretiveness and dissolution. But usually, second marriages, they are, if Scorpio rising or Sun or Moon to a lesser degree, Sun, have second marriages, which would be the 2nd house. It's ruled by Jupiter, which is great planet, and Jupiter also rules the 5th house. It can lead to children, or it can lead to more luck and fortune and so on, but it's gonna be more spirit. Let's say this second marriage can be more focused on Jupiterian themes rather than the sensual Venusian connection. All right, I'm not going too far there, but this is the connection of Venus and the 12th house. There can be some secret goings on in relationships. Ruler of 7th in the 2nd, but usually it's not, because Venus is in a sense, not such a, it's a benefic as we call it. It tends to be with not many negative consequences, even with positive sometimes. Then Mercury rules the 8th house and also the 11th house. So we have a connection for Scorpio between the 8th and the 11th house. The 11th house can be a social circle, your groups. 8th house is when there is some big change, catastrophe. So if they're going through some kind of a turbulent time, which is the 8th house, sudden divorce, sudden life-threatening illness, a sudden crisis, any kind of crisis or big change in life, what can help them is friends or going to group meetings or community where they can discuss and talk, because Mercury rules those things. Some people, when they get divorced, or if they lose their job, or if they're going through some other internal battle, 8th house, or death of someone or whatever, or any kind of crisis in life, they need to go to group meetings. That can be very good for Scorpio and talk it out. which is Gemini, communication, talk it out with like-minded people, and so on. Also, Scorpios can really speak about topics, eighth house topics, which are painful topics, whether it's about abuse, whether it's about taboo topics, whether it's about conspiracies, whether it's about revealing hidden and confidential information that can be a bit shocking for others. They're here to speak it out because Mercury rules their eighth house, to communicate it to large groups of people. So there is an interesting threat that I've seen in the destinies of Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon people, that they take out the secrets, the hidden, the dirty things, the ruler of the eighth, or the forbidden, the don't go there topics that are controversial, the least, that are painful, and they bring it to the larger audience, the 11th house is society, to reach out to larger audience. Now, there is another meaning of the 8th house for Scorpio rising. It's also sudden. The 8th house means suddenness, and the 11th house is gains. So Scorpio rising or moon, or to some extent sun people, can gain from hidden or private things, maybe confidential information. Being a psychologist or astrologer, you have to deal with confidential information, or being a spy. They can gain, because 11th house is how your income. It's one of the wealth houses, so they can gain through such 8th house, whether it's the occult, whether it's spreading information and training others about secret things, or more kind of occult things as well. Or even there can be sudden gain through stock markets. 11th house is connected to the economy, the stock markets, and as well to, in ancient astrology, they call it also the house of possibility to have sudden gains. From 8th house is also connected to stock markets. So these are two financial houses that are connected. So Mercury for Scorpio becomes this planet that can give them even to become gainful. 11th house from inheritance, 8th house, to become gainful in moments of big disaster. Like, for example, there is a natural disaster, or someone dies, or they can gain from that as a Scorpio. It's a theme, a recurring theme that's connected. Or say there is a banks crashing, the economy is crashing, or something like that. Like we've had recently COVID or whatever. Again, Scorpio rising, Scorpio moon people can benefit, gain 11th house through catastrophes or such shocking events as well. They can gain from other people's resources, especially if they're kind of in an administrative middleman role, which is the Mercury element, or advisory role. But the kind of the more administrative side are other people's finances and gains. Again, we see the connection here. And markets, both plates are connected to markets. So this is for Scorpio. I hope that was interesting for you. Now we carry on to Sagittarius rising, moon, or possibly the sun as well. Sagittarius people are ruled by Jupiter, but so is their 4th house. So there is a strong investment, and you'll be surprised because we know Sagittarius as those free roaming people, but there is a strong investment and connection in a non-controlling way. Jupiter is very allowing and kind of open-minded planet with the family, and also often with the mother. There can be a strong connection of goodwill towards the family and Sagittarius rising, unless there's some difficult planets here in Pisces like Mars or Saturn or nodes, so they can be fighting or whatever. And oftentimes the child or the person, especially if it's the ascendant, can resemble the mother or follow in the path of the mother, the connection between the 4th and the 1st, your own personal path, and this is the mother. Or sometimes the 4th house can be the father, but there is a strong resemblance on the path of the life and strong emotional connection and good karma, because Jupiter is the planet of good karma with one of the parents, or usually with the family as well. Oftentimes Sagittarius can own big palatial, like Jupiter, real estate and property as well. Even though they like to move and they like to be free, if they have a family, they would invest themselves in it. with the ruler of the first and the fourth, and they can often be very patriotic. The fourth house is the countryside, your ancestors. They can be very interested in such topics. They can be very invested in the ancestral, the fourth house rules, like the uh, tribal celebrations, the seasonal, Christmases, Easters, whatever, candle masses, and so on. They can be, and Jupiter is a planet of celebration, and Sagittarius really loves those kind of folk traditions, those kind of fourth house rules, like traditions of the country, of the family, of the and Sagittarius people can be very invested, especially when it comes to celebrating, and they can really infuse and bring this knowledge to their own family, to their own children, about how their mother used to make the turkey, or of the whole countries and national identity, their holidays and celebrations. But again, they can also, the fourth house is your happiness, the house of happiness, emotional well-being. So this brings Jupiter their positive attitude in life, because the ruler of the first is Jupiter and the ruler of the fourth is Jupiter. If you want to see if someone is naturally a happy person, look at their fourth house. Don't go further than that. Even if you have Saturn on the ascendant or difficult planets with the moon, because the fourth house is like the moon, which is your mind and your emotional mind. If you have a good planet in the fourth house, you're a naturally positive, happy person. And naturally, people born Sagittarius, the the planet that rules them also rules happiness, and it's a very auspicious planet and emotional happiness. That's why they tend to be positive. Now, the next connected theme for Sagittarius is between the ruler of the second and the ruler of the third is the same planet, Saturn. Saturn rules the second and the third. Second house is financial well-being, money. Third house is skills. Third house is also delaying influence. So is Saturn. So here we can see that actually the financial security of Sagittarius strong people can come later in life rather than the first 30-35 years. There might be more difficulties, and usually they eventually become financially stable, but it's only with their own personal efforts, which is Saturn. But third house also rules one's personal efforts. Wealth through self-made wealth is the third house, through your own skills, through whatever skills and knowledge you acquire. So for Sagittarius strong people, it's strongly advised, first of all, not to be impatient, and oftentimes they have to work hard for their gains financially, unless they have some good planets here in the second house to make it easier, inherited money and so on from family. But usually they have to, with their own personal efforts and skills, and over extended periods of time. Usually it starts modesty, but it accrues and builds up over time, which is the quality of Saturn, to build up slowly but surely. Usually in their 40s, 50s, they can be more financially stable, usually through their own personal efforts. Also, if, for example, they have a problem with finances, I would advise them to, and they feel very strong resistance to finances, to the issues of finances. Every time they talk about it, brings up negative feelings in them or fears, or they usually don't. The second house is how you value yourself. They usually would undervalue themselves with prices and so on. If you have such resistance, I would advise you to focus on the other house, to loosen the negative response, but to bring up the vibration of the ruler of the second through the other house it rules. And this way, the vibration of the second house of money will also rise. And the other house that Saturn rules is the third. Maybe improve your relationships with siblings and neighbors. Maybe do something to help neighbors or your siblings or your cousins or your mates. Third house is any kind of social everyday interactions. Maybe be more careful there, or maybe work in a small group environment that can help you with your finances. Third house is teams and so on. But the finances are very strongly, and the self-worth, second house, is very strongly connected to the ability of skills they have mastered. and they might master skills slower, but their mind is quite brilliant. Aquarius brings the third house. But the more skills they have, the more different things they can do. And it's not something you're naturally born with, like a talent that the third house represents. It's more like something that you really, how to operate a machine, how to operate, how to do YouTube videos and stuff, so on, the technical side of stuff. The more how to shoot, how to take pictures, whatever, different skills. The more they gain those, the more they accrue those, the better their self-worth will become and their financial situation. Usually it improves with age. Okay. The next house that is ruled by the same planets for Sagittarius is the fifth house. And Mars also rules the ninth house. So we have a connection between the fifth. No, not the ninth, sorry. The 12th house. So the connection between the fifth and the 12th house is strong for Sagittarius, ruled by Mars. Let's think a little bit. Hopefully you can start thinking as an astrologer now. Even if you've never met anyone, Sagittarius rising or moon, what can be there? 12th house, 5th house. 5th house is romantic interests. 12th house is foreign travel, faraway places. They can fall in love in faraway countries, for example, passionately. Mars. They can even have a private, 12th house is something private romantic relationships. Or romantic relationships with people from 12th house is someone from a different religion, from a different social class, very different than them, a different country or different skin color, whatever. It used to be more taboo, those things, but now it's, and Sagittarius, this makes them more open-minded there. But if Mars, sometimes it can give certain romantic intrigues and underhanded acting there, because it is the 12th house, behind the scene things. But the 5th house is also children, connected to the 12th house. If you're having problem conceiving, maybe you can do spiritual practices. Or if you're having problem with your child or with your creative inspiration, some kind of need more time alone, the 12th house, some kind of spiritual exercises. But it also shows the connection here between the 12, or go abroad, find someone abroad, or find, if you have problems getting children, travel a little bit abroad, or do spiritual retreats or whatever. It can unlock the potential of the 5th house. Or if your love life sucks, you're having problems, do some of the 12th house activities, going to faraway places like islands or retreats, or work on your spiritual self. It might take sometimes a few years, but eventually to raise the vibration of the 5th house as well. But there is also incredible imagination for Sagittarius, because 5th house is very much connected to the creative intelligence, which is quite creative intelligence, and 12th house is also the house of imagination. The same planet rules it. So there can be this connection there, powerful imagination, powerful creativity, which truly is, all my best friends are Sagittarius rising. And both are connected to spirituality. 5th house in ancient astrology is the house of spiritual practices. But also 12th house is connected to the invisible worlds, breaking the barrier between the visible and invisible worlds, astral travel, and so on. So they have, Sagittarius is one of the signs that has naturally, they're born, and Mars is effort. You're putting like soldier-like discipline with austerity almost in those areas. If they turn on the spiritual path, they're like no one else can do those spiritual, with concentrated in isolation as well, spiritual practices in isolation. They can have very fast breakthrough, which is Mars energy fast, in the invisible worlds, into the spiritual, those kind of abilities connected to the third eye. And I know this is like, I've never seen someone dedicate so much energy as a Sagittarius rising into spiritual activity, having known such people. very well. Uh, and they also create, they download creatively, very intuitively, they download creative ideas. 12 houses, like the invisible worlds, creative ideas. Sometimes, though, they can, the connection of children with loss, or the connection of children with, they might go far away to live from you or something like that, or because of the fifth, 12th house. Uh, but that's also speculative investments abroad. This is something Sagittarius uh, can experience as well. What else is the 12th house? There's many meanings, but I can't think of everything now. But I made some of the connections. You can keep on this practice on your own. If you think of something else between the 5th and the 12th house, definitely believe me, this works. All right, then the next planet is Venus. Venus rules Sagittarius's 6th house and Sagittarius's 11th house. Oh, that's Mercury. Now, 6th house is our enemies. Venus is quite a pleasant planet. Usually, is not gonna give serious enemies, or at least they're not gonna be nasty. They'll be nicer. It might be a woman, more like, especially a friend who's very pleasant, but she might have some animosity from time to time with you. She can be sometimes do something that is not. So I've seen this definitely for Sagittarius rising people. At least these are the ones I've watched the most. That frenemies, but it never escalates in an ugly way. Usually they make up again, they're diplomatic, and they agree with them, and they forgive each other. But they can be those more, sixth house imbalance situations, especially with female friends and so on. But actually, oftentimes they can turn their enemies into friends, because Venus is a nice planet, through diplomacy, through kindness. It might even start like, oh, we don't like each other, and then we turn into friends. So sometimes friends turn for a little bit as enemies and turn back to friends. Then there is this connection between 6th house of work and 11th house of your social connections. So for Sagittarius, might be if they have problems with their work, maybe reach out to friends, acquaintances, people online. They can help you. Venus is a helpful planet. If your work is not going well, or maybe you can find people from your friends or social network that can help you with work, or that can become your employees as well, or that can contribute to some work that you're doing as well. Now, 6th house is also on healthy habits, healthy and unhealthy habits. There is a connection with friends, social circles. So be careful that your friends don't seduce you almost. This is the Venus energy, seduce you into bad habits, because like sugar, alcohol. and even the 6th house, is the house of self-medicating with alcohol and other stuff. And that's why when Sagittarius usually drinks, they're kind of nice, pleasant drinkers in most cases, because Venus rules that 6th house. Well, some people, when they drink, if they have Mars ruled 6th house or Saturn ruled, they can get depressed or angry. But those ones are like, oh, good times. And they can even become a bit promiscuous because of the energy of Venus connected if they're using substances, which is the 6th house. But friends can be connected to those things. But also with friends, or through group, going to group. Say you have a problem with some self-medicating situation or imbalance. So 6th house is all kind of problems in life. Go to a group session. Maybe a friend can help you out as well. So the both sides of the matter, where the friends can drag you in, but a friend or someone, the right person, mentor, can help you, or benefactor can help you out, which is the 11th house energy. But also there's the gains situation. Gains is the 11th house ruler, 6th house. Gains from what? They can be gains from, in this situation, even from debt. Even taking on a loan can turn up profitable. Or, for example, they can put on interest on a debt that someone owes them and become profitable. So there is a connection there you can think as well, because 6th house is debt. There is also 6th house is work. We said friends, but also the work for Sagittarius can be connected in some way. Their work duties to society. They can have a duty and responsibility, sixth house, towards the whole society. Their work can be towards something improving in society or large groups of people in some way, or spreading some knowledge, spreading some 11th house would be like spreading information in some way. Okay, I think we covered quite a lot. Now, the next house that is ruled by the next two houses ruled by the same planet for Sagittarius is the 7th and the 10th house. Mercury is the ruler of the 7th and the 10th house. So this immediately shows us that Sagittarius career and achievements and success in life, which is the 10th house, are strongly connected to partnerships. It can mean that after settling down or getting married or starting a business partnership, 7th house things, their social status can rise, or even their marriage partner can be from a social status, or just making a business partnership can help them achieve more growth in their career, or their partner can be found through work as well, through their career in some way. You see connection between one of the houses of relationships, and especially marriage and business partnership, and the house of career success. They can also have public success, and the 7th house is the public, the 10th house is, achievements, and in ways that speaking and so on, or by dealing, making contracts, agreements, again, that can bring them a lot of success. Oftentimes, the marriage partner can have more youthful energy or be very involved with business, which is more Geminian things, and their career and so on, but also be invested in the home, because the 10th is the 4th from the 7th. So for Sagittarius, if you want more success, maybe connect with the right people there. There is a strong connection, and some more public roles can be better for you. Overall, ruler of 7th and 10th. I think that's it for Sagittarius. Now let's continue to Capricorn, rising or moon. Now Capricorn's first house is the same planet that rules Saturn, their second house, traditionally in astrology. So Capricorns, their identity, first house, will be very much invested in their financial situation, because the same planet rules the first and the second house, and it's very important for their self-worth and whatever. They'll be very invested physically and with their focus, their whole energy. The first house is you, and you're connected to the second house, to have material security. Now you see one of the other reasons why Capricorn is it's so important for them to have materials security. Second house in ancient astrology is also the family, not just the fourth house. So they can be very invested and responsible towards the family, towards paying the bills, the family responsibilities, and so on. But usually, because of Saturn's energy, it requires effort as well. It's not always, doesn't come easy. They can also be very much invested, and that's already Saturn for them becomes a wealth making planet, because there is wealth combination, and one of them is the ruler of the first to be with the ruler of the second. And now here we have Saturn being that same planet. So Saturn's transits, funny enough, can be periods of building wealth for them, amassing wealth, stability in some sort. But usually later in life there is a bit more effort and time that is needed, and personal investment with their own actions. They can even use Saturn, especially if you're Capricorn rising, your physical body, your face as well, and your own personal efforts, your own image as the face of whatever it is you're doing, that will be financially beneficial for you. And second house is also the house of the teeth. So if you're having some problem in your path of life, some other issues, I would advise Capricorns, fix your teeth, have better oral hygiene, so you can raise the vibration of the ruler of the first through the ruler of the second. Okay, now The next planet that rules the same houses for Capricorn people is Jupiter, that rules the third, and it rules the sixth houses. What does it mean? Jupiter rules the third and the sixth. Jupiter is a benefic planet overall in energy, but ruling one of the more difficult houses of animosity, the sixth. They usually don't. The next planet that connects to life topics for Capricorn is Jupiter. It rules the third house and the 12th house. Let's think about 12 houses can be connected to past lives, something unfinished from past lifetimes that needs to end and be completed and let go. Third house can be connected to your neighbors, so maybe more bit more karmic relationships with neighbors, but in a good way actually, because Jupiter is the ruler. With siblings, especially younger siblings, is the third house. With your schoolmates, with your mates from work, third house rules all of those people in our everyday environment, whether it's your cousins, your relatives, your neighbors, your siblings as well, your teammates. And there is this maybe a past life, more stronger past life connection for Capricorns with those kind of people. But it tends to be more benevolent on the benevolent side because Jupiter rules those two houses. And if Jupiter is weak in the horoscope or with hard aspects, then it can get a bit like you can have losses through such people, something hidden. You can have some kind of intrigues, which is the 12th house, through with siblings or such kind of people. So it can get a bit harder, but usually you can receive hidden support or support that comes to you because of past lifetime or something unfinished in a past lifetime, or some kind of a connection there. Also, the 12th house can be, and third house, there is both houses of travel. So we see here, even though Capricorn tends to be a solid sign, there is a strong indication that they have easy access to travel. And at certain periods in their life, especially during the, as they call in ancient astrology, the dasha of Jupiter or whatever, they can travel or live abroad for extended periods of time. Because Jupiter gives the green light for whatever house it rules for things to happen with ease there. Third house is frequent moves, frequent travel, abroad, 12th house, or even frequent, you can have frequent long-term living abroad or live for years in certain periods abroad. And because Jupiter rules those houses, these things, these like traveling, short-term travel or far time or uh, long-term residence abroad can be actually quite nice and easy for them. Also, third house, you can communicate more with foreigners. For some Capricorns, that can happen, or people from faraway places as well. The connection between your social house, third house, and the house, 12th house, faraway places. Okay, what else? What else can we say there? They can even travel abroad to gain skills. Third house is skills, or to study something, some training, into faraway places or retreats for some training, for information, because third house is all of those things. 12th house is faraway places. Okay, I think that's the gist of it. And their mind can naturally understand, because Jupiter is very expansive, can naturally understand the invisible worlds, the 12th house, the mysteries of life. Even though Capricorn feels like, okay, such a materialistic sign, they're involved a lot. Their self identity is very strongly derived from their financial security, as the first and second are ruled by the same planet, Saturn. They're very serious about it. But they also have this side of them that they can understand mentally the subconscious, the mystical processes as well. Or they might even be writing or speaking about, because third house is that, and Jupiter is the planet of knowledge, writing, speaking about mystical secrets, mysteries, the invisible things in life, and so on. Okay, then the next. But of course, if Jupiter is not good in the horoscope, they can have losses through neighbors, through siblings, and so on, or expenses in regards to travels a lot more, which is natural. Because 12th house is expenses. Third house, everything that the third house represents, they can be more expensive of that, but usually it tends to play out for the best. because Jupiter rules those houses. Then the fourth house of Capricorns is ruled by Mars, and so is their, was it 1, 2, 3, 4? Yes, ruled by Mars, the fourth house, and so is Scorpio ruled by Mars. So the 11th and fourth houses get connected. 11th house is gains, whether it's a salary, whether it's a bonus, whether it's the money from your business. This is gains, what you can gain. Fourth house is real estate, and Mars is a very proactive planet. Capricorns can be gainful in real estate, unless Mars is really smashed in some way or put in the difficult position, but usually that's what it means. They can, especially even gains through building or real estate or lands and so on. So just something to keep in mind. As well, they can, 11th house is, yeah, this is mostly the connection I'm making here. Just keep in mind, if they have 11th house is friends, 4th house is family, they can be a strong connection between friends and family there for them. But I would advise you, if you have a problem in one of those houses, either you have problem with your friends, for example, there is too much, for Capricorn, Mars rules, Scorpio rules the friendships. They can be either power struggle or fighting with friends in some way. If there is a problem with your social integration or gainfulness, your income, either with friends or with income, which is significations of the 11th house, or your network, you're not getting along with your network, I would advise you to focus on the fourth house for a little bit, so you can raise the vibration of your Mars, who will take care of the house, of the 11th house, whether it's your gains or whether it's your friendships and so on, your social position or society rewarding you in some ways, the 11th house of society accepting you. So if you have problems with that, focus on the fourth house. If you don't have resistance there as well, which would be maybe tend to, and it has to be physical, it's Mars, take a piece of land and tend to it. Go and repair something in your home. Do some do-it-yourself project at home. But it has to be something productive. It has to be something constructive, and then you build up the vibration of this Mars, which will immediately starts raising and taking care of the 11th house, of the gains, of the friendships and so on. Or if you're having issues at your home with real estate, with finding a place to live, or with your family, you're fighting with your family, say, you're not seeing eye to eye with them, then focus on this 11th house to raise the vibration of Mars from there, so it can take care of the family or real estate. So that can be Mars, that would be like contribute something to society in the 11th house, or focus on gainfulness. I know it sounds illogical, but focus on that. You raise the vibration for the fourth house as well. Maybe spreading something for the world to know, to larger group of people, or do something in a large group environment, or go to some 11th house can be go to some kind of a festival where you can dance, involve the Mars energy, or go to some kind of where you get with many like-minded people to do something occult, because it's Scorpio, there's some knowledge of astrology or whatever, but be around many people. This will raise the vibration of your Mars, or do some project with a large group of people that helps someone, society, whatever, or go to rallies. 11th house could be rallies, or work for some social cause, and then, or just kind of be more involved with your friends and so on. This can raise the vibration of your fourth house as well. Now, the next house for Capricorn that is ruled by the same planets, the two houses, that becomes the best planet for Capricorn rising or Capricorn moon people. Sun to some extent is Venus, because it rules both a trinal house, the 5th, and an angular house, the 10th. What I keep saying is, when we have a planet that rules both a trine, which is divine inspiration and talent, so you get the inspiration and the talent, and an angular house, which is action. Angle is an action. Then you have inspiration and you act on it. And so it becomes a combination for success. Some people might have the inspiration, but not the motivation to act. Others might be acting, but without inspired thought, They just keep doing stupid things overall, or uninspired things, non-original. But you have a planet that rules both. So Venus is your good planet for Capricorn people. And especially Venus is strong. There is a strong connection that they can be successful with career and so on. But they have natural ability for leadership. But they're liked leaders usually, because Venus is how you as a boss, the 10th house. Um, and Venus is very agreeable, because I mean Libra is very agreeable. And fifth house is also kind of a house which is connected to having a original vision, intelligence. So fifth house is the house of natural intelligence. So they have natural intelligence, natural talents, where these natural, not things that you learn with skills. You're naturally born skilled, because fifth house brings the good things from past lifetimes, the good karmas from past lifetimes. It's like the good skills. Someone is born and they can sing beautifully. Someone is born and they're natural at something. Well, Capricorn has this natural talent, but from past life, for leadership, connection of natural talent and leadership, and original at that, and in a likable way. Very often, of course, they can be asshole Capricorn bosses or whatever, but also fifth house is the house of having a original creative idea, and 10th house is executing it. So they can be successful by making their own business. I know a couple of Capricorn women rising, uh, and they really succeeded high up. They would take fifth house as the house of having your own business, which is like your own baby that you grow. And they targeted it towards women, and they were very successful with those businesses. So something creative, you can turn it into your career and success. Also, your career, 10th house, is connected to the fifth house. Fifth house can be fashion, because it's glamorous energy in the fifth house. It can be being an artist, it can be being a performer. Fifth house is more like center stage, hot couture, fashion, design, because Venus is involved. It can be that celebrity culture, elite culture. They usually tend to move in those circles as well. They're drawn to the glamour. Venus in the 10th house, elite circles. Fifth house is also elite energy, and so on. So who can help them in the end? Also, usually the career, maybe a lover can help with their career, fifth house, or career can improve once they have children, and their social status can improve once they have children. Or, for example, if they're having problem with their love life, it's just not happening. There's a lot of resistance there. I would advise you to bring up the vibration of the ruler of the fifth house of their love life, or children if they can't have, or problems with their children, by focusing on the other house that Venus rules, if you have less resistance towards it, which is career, social, the worldly responsibilities and duties, to get active at work, with career, business, whatever, or active with institutions or something like that. And then focus that energy there. You'd rise the vibration of the fifth house. I have a friend who for 7 years had to do that. And at the end, it unlocked and rose the vibration of her fifth house, and her love life started getting better, and children, and so on. Or the opposite, if you're having problems with your career, with being recognized, with having a what to do mission or whatever, or with problems with bosses, and you have too much resistance, focus on this fifth house. Spend time with your children. Do creative. Even creative careers are good for Capricorn. Venus rules their house of creativity and their house of career. So in creative fields and so on, or self businesses. Or do kind of some arts, maybe go to theater, or start performing in a group, or anything else that is creative as well, is the fifth house. Whether you go to a group where you're painting with a group of women, use the Venus energy, or you're dancing, another Venus energy, or you go there in cooking, which is again creative thing. This will especially more like more refined cooking. This can unlock the vibration of the high vibration of your Venus, and your career can start taking off as well. But I always invite Capricorns to bring this glamour into their social image, public image, this exclusivity of the fifth house to their public image, this glamour and exclusivity and eliteness, and maybe people, celebrities can help for their careers, or the elites. The fifth house rules like the king energy, the royals, the elites of society, you know. Of course, that's not for all Capricorns, but especially strong Capricorn for rising and so on. This is a path for them. Or just the simple things, bring more creativity into your life. This will unlock your career. Now, the next planet that rules the same two houses for Capricorn is the sixth house, and the ninth house is ruled by Mercury, sorry. So we have a connection between the sixth and the ninth house. So they can be more travel, ninth house, in regards to the employment. They might have to travel more, or even if they might even go to a foreign country because of their employment, to find work or something like that. Sixth house is not necessarily your vocation, what you're here to do, but it's part of the process of service. And they might have service in foreign countries, or they can be, because ninth house is very charitable house, they might have doing something, arranging something for people in need. Sixth house is people in need, or people in a disadvantaged position, or they might be bringing a message of preaching, almost, because ninth house is teaching, preaching about the problems of the poor. Sixth house, about preaching and teaching about sixth house matters, divorce, war zones, preaching and teaching about anything six houses, any kind of imbalances as well. Or their work might be connected to ninth house matters, so more traveling, something academic and educational as well, and so on. So that's another connection. But there's also sixth house is the house of our weaknesses, whether it's addictions or and ninth house is our spiritual morality. And Mercury is very ambivalent planet. It can explain everything. So sometimes it can give this dichotomy. So someone the priest who drinks, the preacher who has affairs, because sixth house rules all of those things that are out of balance in us. And ninth house is the very moral house. So there can be that someone has this contradiction in them. Capricorn are more likely to have like very high-minded, lofty interest, which is the ninth house, and beliefs, spiritual beliefs, but at the same time with a clash contradiction with their behaviors and actions. I'm not saying it's part of their path. It's more likely to be part of their path. So having to be like an outstanding citizen, but at the same time having something, but at the same time, they might be going and teaching about such things and have an understanding and teaching about such matters. So there we go, Capricorn. I think we covered all of the combination for you. I hope you enjoyed that. Now let's continue to Aquarius. Rising, sun or moon. Let's see. Saturn rules their first house for Aquarius, but it also rules the 12th house of Aquarius, which is house of isolation. So Aquarians, very social, air sign, but at the same time, they're some of the biggest isolationists I've seen. Aquarians, yes, they can naturally, the air quality of Aquarius people puts them in social activities with others, in touch with large groups of people. But at the same time, part of their path in life is even to be isolated for periods of time in faraway places, or to spend a lot of time alone. It's just part of destiny for Aquarius. Another thing, 12th house is foreign countries. So it's part of their path for many strong Aquarius people to live abroad as an expat for many years, and they can feel quite comfortable. And also there is this connection of the personality that is connected to past life. So there is a strong connection with this incarnation, which is always the first house if it's your rising, and a connection for Aquarius very strongly, like they continue a mission that you haven't complete in a past lifetime, and that they can continue it now, because you know how some have like a brand new slate, very different than who they were in a past lifetime. You were a soldier in a past lifetime, now you're a gardener, whatever. Well, there is kind of a following up the thread here in Aquarius rising people, maybe to Aquarius moon as well, to some degree to the sun. So they're more connected, and they might even have like memories of parallel lives or past lifetimes that come that directly impact their current life, or maybe they started something in a past lifetime. That's at least what I saw for myself, that I started studying astrology and the occult in a past lifetime, and I could not do anything or help anyone with that, because we ended up being discovered, and that was a dangerous thing back then, and the whole family was disgraced. But I wanted to continue this. So there is this thread that of Aquarius, it might be a project or knowledge or whatever that they didn't complete, and that this past incarnation strongly impacts them, and they continue in this lifetime on that. They can also be a strong connection with the mystical. Actually, Aquarius is a telepathic sign because the ruler of the 12 rules them as well. The ability to tap into the invisible worlds, to, and that's why Aquarius is such a futuristic sign, because they're naturally, even though Saturn rules their 12th house, but usually with age the intuition grows, not immediately as young, because Saturn usually after your 40s 50s, the intuition and the spiritual abilities become stronger and stronger with age. And their dreams, they can usually, the dreams can become more and more like almost like a day reality for them. Maybe not so much as younger, because Saturn has a bit of a blocking influence, and as young, their spiritual abilities are not so interest, but they usually, the older they get, the more they invest themselves into, and even later into life, they can become much more isolated and want their privacy a lot. They would occasionally come out of their cave and privacy and their spiritual activities and inspirations to into society, but want to retreat there. And they can be, because Saturn is very rigorous and very disciplined, they can become very disciplined spiritual practitioners. The 12th house is also connected to losses and loss of vitality. So the same planet that rules their vitality, first house, rules their loss of vitality. So they don't often are the most strong as well. And there can be some hidden vices there. Of course, the 12th and the 6th houses are the houses of self-medicating, hidden vices. They might go through addictions more, and statistically, Aquarius is one of the signs, Aquarius rising, moon, that have more, they have to explore this. It's part of their path in life to explore this 12th house, either to live in foreign countries, to experience losses, to experience being almost like a wanderer, or on the kind of on the fate of the universe, and to, or even to go through certain addictions, but they dig deep into their subconscious, and they kind of start to maybe even have connections with spirit guides or whatever, and so on. But it's advised for them to spend time alone. It's advised for them, if they have health problems, to turn to spiritualities. If they have self-identity issues, to withdraw for a bit. Or if they have a lot of losses, which is the 12th house, then focus your attention on the first house, so you can raise the vibration of the planet that rules the 12th house. So if you have a lot of losses and kind of loser energy, or if addictions or self-undoing habits and vices, hidden vices, because usually they tend to go away very slowly, because Saturn rules those. It's not like you wake up one morning and that's it, you're free. It's kind of drawn out. Focus on the first house, start exercising. It's one way to raise the vibration of the ruler of the first house and the 12th house, so those 12th house issues can start disappearing. So I think it's very important for Aquarius to do that. Or some kind of a structure in your daily routine and so on. And of course, it's part of their destiny to be in foreign countries. We said that. Now let's continue to the next house that is ruled by the same two houses for Aquarius. The second house and 11th house is ruled by Jupiter, the same planet. Jupiter, second and 11th houses are houses of what you do with your money. Second house, how much can you save and amass, and your wealth basically, and 11th house is your income. So we have the same planet ruling this. That becomes a wealth combination in ancient astrology. The ruler of the second with the 11th. So Jupiter is also very aligned planet. It means that most often Aquarius people, Aquarius rising, Aquarius moon in particular, even sun to some extent, they sooner or later can become financially well off. Because of Jupiter blessing their two financial houses. And oftentimes, how does money come to them? Through 11th house means by community, by creating community, by knowing the trends that society wants. 11th house is a business house, so they can be good business people because they know, they sense Jupiter is the most intuitive planet. It rules the 11th house of what society wants. Because they have this intuition and internal wisdom, Jupiter, what is the next trend? What does society want? What are the trends on the markets even, or whatever? And they can monetize that because Jupiter also rules the second house and have the security. And usually during period of Jupiter, because there are periods each planet rules in one's life, Jupiter's period is 16 life, and there are smaller periods during other, that if you're running Jupiter dashas, they call it, you can amass wealth. I haven't run Jupiter dasha big one, but Antara dasha for a year, here and there, and it's really working. Anyway, so if your finances is suffering, if you're not having, if you have resistance to financial matters, withdraw from this energy of the second house. For example, if you feel insecure, if you're underappreciating yourself financially, and maybe move the energy into the 11th house so you can bring the vibration of Jupiter, and it will bring the vibration of your second house, how you're being evaluated, how you value yourself, and what wealth you attract. So maybe interact with friends or go do something. It's Sagittarius on the 11th house, which is educational, some knowledge. Go to some lectures with like-minded people about wealth, abundance, or spend time more with friends. Or a friend can help you, a benefactor. For me, it was always that the benefactor helped me, whether it would be a teacher, whether it would be a friend. When I was financially bad, it was always when I had financial problems, my friends would always help me. And because friends are generous, they're ruled by Jupiter in your life, and they're good karma for you as well. Or go and do any other 11th house activities, which can be community building, which can be doing something for the community, which can be spreading knowledge about socially important topics, altruistic actions of any sorts. Be helpful to your friends, one of the simple ways. Be helpful to your friends, your finances, and very honest. Jupiter is the planet of morality, honesty. If you're helpful and honest for others, your financial situation will start improving as well. Or you might have problems with your friends, then focus on the second house in some way instead, to raise the vibration. It can be something to do with the food, it can be something to do with better oral hygiene, and that can start literally raising the vibration of your. So if you have problem having followers, which is the 11th house, and clients as well, you focus on the second house, Jupiter. So maybe start cooking, maybe start learning, because Jupiter loves to learn knowledge about foods, knowledge about second houses. Even second house would be more like the sensual things. Learn more about colors, learn more about materials, the five senses. Start honing and purifying your five senses, and those 11th house matters will disappear. Or a simple thing is, focusing on money, but teaching others about money, helping with advise others about security and so on. But then money will often be even through family, fifth house, and through networks, 11th house. Now, the next planet that connects to houses for Aquarius is Mars. It connects their third house and rules their 10th house. Third house, 10th house. So they can be naturally leaders in group teamwork Third house is teamwork. 10th house is leadership ability. Also, their career, which is the 10th house, they can be very competitive in their career. It's ruled by Mars. But they can also create some competition with groups and so on. But usually they can be in careers that are third house oriented. We connect the meaning of the 10th house with the third, which should be maybe writing, messaging, information, transportation. Think of anything third house, social media, administrative work, and so on. They can also work and they can be like a leader in a small team of people. That's another manifestation how it can do. And yeah, they can work in their career with their siblings can help them, or teammates, or even with people from their childhood friends and so on. There is a connection there, but of course it's Mars. It can sometimes create animosity, so one needs to be a bit more careful. But there is like very busy work. Third house is very busy, so it's Mars with career, and it's third house oriented. If you have problem with your career, maybe help some of your siblings or fix your relationship with them. Keep in touch with your friends, third house. Maybe go on short trips. So also their career can be connected to frequent travel in some way, to messaging of some sort, journalism as well, and so on. But also maybe utilize social media and so on in your career. That's why very times often Aquarians are connected to social media and so on because of the connection of the 10th house and third house. If you're having problems with authority, Mars rules authority, with father figure, with police, I don't know, with authority, with governments, maybe, and if it's very strong resistance there, focus your attention on the third house as well. Maybe it's like go helps physically a neighbor of yours, do something for your neighborhood, start walking, be physically walking. Third house is walking around the streets in your neighborhood, or cycling, bicycle, or something. Focus on this third house to raise the vibration of your Mars, which also rules the authority figures, and you can fix problems with institutions and so on. Or something else, third house, that is more physically active. Think about those things. I don't know, get active on social media, stir a lot of conflict. No, but maybe be vocal about it. When I had problem with my career, there was an attack, which is Aquarians can have more often attacks with their image, with their career, because Scorpio Mars rules their 10th house. And I lost my YouTube account, so I activated the third house, which is social media. I started writing messages, and immediately people from all over the world started writing to YouTube. YouTube didn't budge. At the end, someone wrote to me because they read some of the messages, third house, and they say, I know someone from YouTube. They connected me with them, someone high position, and that's what helped me. So if you have problem with your work, speak about it, talk about it, get things active, moving fast. All right. Now, the next planet that rules in 2 houses for Aquarius is Venus. That becomes the best planet for Aquarius, just like it is for Capricorn rising people, Moon, or to a lesser degree Sun. Venus rules the 4th house, angular house of action, any angular houses or action, and the 9th house of inspiration. So immediately we have here a planet that indicates that the person gets inspired about something. The trinal houses inspiration. Oh, you get a vision for something original, something, and you get passionate, inspired about it, but you also act on it, an angular house. So Venus periods can really bring a lot of success for Aquarius rising people. And usually this is we have a connection here that people can have 9th house is luck and fortune as well, and connection to the 4th house with family. This can be good, and they can receive a lot of love and support from family. They can have good karma with their family. Not always the case, but it's more common than not for Aquarius, because someone might have Saturn in the 4th house. Go and try to have very warm relationship with family then. But generally, there is this good karma, and they can be help and support and inspiration they receive from family. Also, they can be good luck in finding property and even some kind of lucky way with real estate property. Um, Also, there can be this thing that fourth house is where you live, ninth house is foreign country. We see this theme repeated again. How the ruler of the first house is where you are physically, is the same planet as the 12th house, Saturn, which connects them to foreign countries. There are two houses of foreign countries, the 12th and the ninth. Now we're going to have the planet, now we have the planet that rules their home, which is the same as foreign countries. So, more likely, not every Aquarius rising people has lived abroad, but definitely it's higher percentage than normal. So they feel at home abroad. Um, there is this connection here. There is also the connection. What else can we say? The nine houses. The spiritual beliefs. The spiritual beliefs, their worldview can be very strongly influenced by their family. In my case, my family was very spiritual and religious, and my ancestors as well. So that my world belief was very strongly impacted uh, by my family. And by usually the fourth house is the mother, but it can be the father. They can be kind of more spiritual ancestry there. And in a usually good way, because Venus is a positive planet. They can also, what else? If they are emotionally unhappy, which is the fourth house, I would advise Aquarius to do as much ninth house activity to uplift the fourth house because they're connected. So go travel when you're emotionally down. If you have problem with real estate, or if you have problem with emotional happiness, fourth house activities, or with your family. Venus, go travel, or ninth house, ruler, or start studying spiritual topics, read the Bible, or read some spiritual text, or watch some inspirational teacher, um, and so on. So that will raise the vibration of Venus and improve whatever problems are in the ninth in the fourth house. So if you have problem educationally, getting a degree, problem with a teacher, uh, some moral dilemma you have to fix, do fourth house activities then, so you can raise the vibration through the fourth house of the ninth house to resolve the moral dilemma, the educational problem, or the problem with the father, because ninth house is also father figures, teacher figures. That could be like maybe have flowers in your home. This is how you can use the Venus energy of the fourth house. Maybe have a little garden you can do. This is actually almost like a spiritual activity and the spiritual practice for Aquarians to connect to the earth, to the fourth house, or maybe connect with your mother, improve the relationship with the mother, and that can help solve ninth house issues, confide in mother, and so on. And now the next planet that connects the themes of Aquarians, of two themes, is fifth house, which is ruled by Mercury, and so is the eighth house. Fifth and eighth house connection through Mercury. What does that mean? Fifth house is one of the houses of the teachers, Aquarius, and eighth house is occult matters, psychological matters. Aquarians can be good teachers of such matters. Fifth house is also the house of, eighth house is the house of sudden changes. Fifth house is the house of romantic relationships, of children. So they can be a surprise pregnancy or a child, or the life of children can sometimes undergo big transformations. And your life will transform a lot after children. But there can be some power struggles as well. Mercury, though, is not a planet that likes power struggles. And through talking out, you can solve it with your children, but also in your romantic relationships. There can be cycles of, they can be very good at one moment, very not so good at another, and suddenly change your romantic relationships, your romantic feelings and allegiance and emotional connection, which is the fifth house, and eighth house ruler Mercury. And Mercury is not usually a planet that is very stable, that is very committed to these things. So you need a diversity there a little bit. Or you can go through big transformations and kind of such kind of stuff. Also, the eighth house is how we go through trauma. So if we're in a traumatic situation, someone dies, we bankrupt, we lost the job we've had for 20 years, you got divorced, such kind of sudden traumas, effects, whatever it is that is feels, then and the vibration, how do I get out of this trauma? You feel like maybe you're a victim of something, maybe you were vandalized, maybe some other very kind of intense experience. Then focus on the fifth house. Art therapy can help you. Hobbies, whatever it is, something Geminian, maybe painting by numbers like I do, maybe knitting, maybe something arts and crafts with the hands, has very therapeutic influence. Use this fifth house for therapy, healing of the eighth house. Maybe spend more time with your children, start creating something. And their creations can be post-mortem. Eighth house is after death, what happens, and whatever they create, fifth house can be after their death, can continue in some way. Now, yes, if Mercury has hard position in the horoscope, they can be sudden and unexpected events with romantic relationships with children, but also surprise. It doesn't have to be negative only. And they can be this connection here. There is good fortune, because fifth house is one of the good fortunes, the good karma in past lifetimes for Aquarius that stem in situations of crisis. So a crisis can come, but Aquarians have the creative intelligence to deal with that crisis, to see the silver lining out of it, if you understand what I'm trying to say, and to creatively, with the ingenuity, with the ingenious, create, because fifth house is creative ability, genius ability as well, to solve it or to extract something positive of the situation. Also, the eighth house is mutual finances with a partner, money coming to you from others, and fifth house is one of the good karma houses. So there can be some good karma for you coming from partners' finances or by partnering with others. And yeah, or in moments of crisis, this can really activate your creativity and inspiration. Actually, when things are normal, inspiration might be harder to come in, but when there is like something unexpected, shocking in the world, is it the stock market collapsing, is it pandemic, or something in your own personal life, this is when your creative intelligence gets activated, and you have good karma from past lifetimes that can be translated that through disasters you can achieve, and also you can be very creative with your mind as an Aquarius about such eighth house topics. In a sense, you can even form your art or your creative business around eighth house topics. Is it astrology? Is it trauma? Is it the secrets of the universe? Is it emergencies, shocking information, confidential information, and so on? And there is this connection between romantic relationships and hidden stuff as well, just to know there is a connection there. And secrets is one of the secrets houses as well. Or also your mutual finances with a partner can improve after you have a child. Or your firstborn can really increase your mutual finances with a partner. That's another. I can give you an example. Eighth house, for me as a business owner, is the money that comes to me from with me and my partner, the money that we create, and the money that comes to me from business partners with others. So if I work with another astrologer, this will be the money that comes as a result of our collaboration. The moment I got pregnant, both my finances with my partner and especially with the firstborn, which is the fifth house, and both finances with business partnerships, 3 to 4 times they grew within a couple of months of getting pregnant. So there can be this unlocking of this eighth house potential through a child, but also There can be other eighth house potentials that unlock through the eighth house, through the birth of a child. So, I mean, like, don't give birth to a child just because you want this eighth house to be unlocked, because sometimes eighth house can be a can of worms or shocking surprises and instability. Okay, now the next planet. Oh, I think we covered everything. Yes, for Aquarius. Now let's move to Pisces. Pisces rising or moon or sun is ruled by Jupiter, but Jupiter also rules their 10th house. So there is a powerful connection that Pisces can get very strongly invested, especially Pisces rising people, into their career. It's part of their path in this lifetime to experience career, to find their mission, because Jupiter usually gives easy access, and but not just any career. It's Jupiter. It has to be inspired career. It's not just working at McDonald's unless there is a higher meaning for you in that. This is the 10th house is what you're meant here. The biggest important actions you do, your reputation, your career. For Pisces, they can only do a career that is meaningful, purposeful, and oftentimes there is a Jupiterian element there for them, which would be something that uplifts humanity, that helps large groups of people, that is educational, that's high vibrational, that's about knowledge, that's about spreading knowledge in some sort, opening the eyes of others, serving in a kind of altruistic ways. Jupiter is very altruistic way, or in a teacher-like position. Very often Pisces can have a strong affinity to a teacher. Teacher positions will be part of their path. But 10th house is also authority figures, father, or one of the parents who was the more dominant one, or more, let's say, more out into the world, because sometimes now this can be the mother. So Pisces strong people can have very strong part, like even their appearance can be like one of the parents, and their destiny or even the career can follow that of one of their parents, as almost like inheritance from them in a sense. And their appearance and their belief system, Jupiter is also one's belief system, can be very strongly influenced by one of the parents. But with this Jupiter ruling the first and the 10th, unless Jupiter is really smashed in the natal horoscope of a person, Pisces rising people have bigger, okay, to some extent, Sun and Moon also have bigger than average chances than other signs to make it, to succeed, to do some good deeds for the world, and to be recognized of that, and to be in positions of leadership as well, benevolent leadership positions. 10th house's ability to have executive leadership positions with Jupiter, maybe not dictatorial, it's much more humanistic way. Now the next planet that rules 2 houses for Pisces is Mars. It rules the 2nd and the 9th house. Mars becomes a wealth combo for Pisces. Actually, it's Mars. Check out where in your horoscope Mars is, if you're Pisces rising or even Pisces sun and moon. Check, especially for rising, check out where Mars is. You can make a lot of money from that area in your horoscope where Mars is, because Mars rules 2 wealth houses. The combination between the rule of the 2nd and the 9th in ancient astrology gives good fortune financially. And especially you can have good fortune through preaching, teaching, foreign travel, make more money abroad as well, because as Mars is the rule of the 9th house, or consulting, advising, and so on. But check out the specific position of Mars in your horoscope for extra details where good fortune financially can come to you. But usually through wisdom, Pisces tend to create financial stability. And if they're having some financial issues, Pisces, they can't save, or they can't make themselves secure financially, money just slips from them, whatever. I would advise them to focus their energy into the 9th house. Take a course or a class. Ninth house is knowledge about finances, about abundance, or do something else. 9th house, if especially have strong resistance to to raise naturally the vibration of the second house. So take the attention from the second house, go into the ninth house, start doing spiritual studies, knowledge, or traveling, something more active and physical because Mars is there, or some research because Scorpio, rules this ninth house. Some research on spiritual topics, some research on the not just spiritual, but the principles of the universe, the principle of moralities, and more rigorously apply. So don't lie, don't steal. Actually, your money so strongly depends, Pisces, exactly on that, how moral you are. The more moral you are, the more abundance you have. It's just your money is directly related to your abundance, to your morality. And some people can steal and rape and whatever and lie and still make money, but you have a direct connection there to the house of God and virtuosity and the morality and the second house of financial security. So I strongly advise you. And oftentimes Pisces can be quite active in procuring money, and especially if it comes from foreign countries, foreign trade, for example. Ninth house rules that, or by going to live in a foreign country, or by getting a good degree. Wisdom is the other meaning of the ninth house. Focus on getting a high degree, your financial stability will be guaranteed. Or taking more courses and classes, having a teacher, expanding your knowledge, traveling, or if you don't feel like studying extra degrees, maybe go traveling in abroad. You can find some financial opportunity as well. So this is the connection here. Or they can teach financially, can have financial success through teaching and such kind of stuff. Okay, now the next house for Pisces that is connected by the same planet that's Venus. It's their third house and their eighth house. What does it mean, connection between the third and the eighth house? But a nice planet, Venus. It's a smooth planet. What you think about on a daily level, what you communicate, what is your internal dialogue? It has eighth house qualities to it. So they can talk about, they can message, they can inform others about very deep topics in a way, because eighth house is scary topics: death, divorces, bankruptcies, abuse, trauma, sudden changes, people that don't, but if someone, you can communicate to them in a very gentle way about those things. You can write about those things. You can show the beauty of those things with your words, with your communication. Eighth house is death, or life after death, or anything that is more traumatic. That's why oftentimes Pisces can be very good psychologists. Not only do they understand this depth with ease, Venus rules the eighth house, this difficult topics, because eighth house also house of psychology, but they can communicate it out. The same planet that rules those difficult topics of the eighth house, traumas and whatever, and transformation, death and rebirth of the self, changing from one phase to another. The same planet rules their third house, so they can write it on social media, write books about it, they can communicate it out. Or if you're in a crisis yourself as a Pisces, again, any kind of crisis. Is it bankruptcy? Is it death? Is it existential threat of something? Or you can write about such calamities in the world. You can write about pandemics. You can write about crashes, whatever. Or you can write about occult knowledge. You can communicate, write about any kind of eighth house matters, emergencies. But if you yourself are in some kind of an emergency, big shock in your life, big transformation that's happening, do the eighth house thing to raise the vibration of the eighth as well. What would it be? Talk to others, discuss it, write about it, go on short trips, to some beautiful destination. Third house, Venus, Taurus ruled there, to get your mind off. Or also go in a small circle of with female friends. Venus rules females. Or some small circle gathering of groups where they can do some Venusian things. They might cook, or they might talk, or they might read books. Third house energy to get there as well. They might quilt, I don't know, but this in moments of, it's kind of like a small community third house. That's what it is. Or maybe siblings can help you in moments of stress and so on, or moments of crisis. Okay. Now, the next planet that's ruled by the same, the next two houses ruled by the same planets for Pisces is the fourth and the seventh. We have an immediate connection here between partnerships, marriage, business, and place of living. So maybe Pisces might be able to gain property and have easy access to property after they get married. Something to do with marriage or partnership. So to buy with a partner a place of living. For example, with a friend, because Mercury also rules friendships rather than alone to try and do it. Oftentimes, their marriage itself is to have family, to create family, to have family security. And oftentimes, it can carry this energy that their partner themselves might be quite invested in their career. Why is that? The ruler of the seventh is Mercury, but it's also the ruler of the fourth, which is the 10th from the seventh. So that would be like the career of the partner. So they can marry usually someone a bit more successful, invested in their career. Or another way it can play out is that they can change place of living after they marry, or they can upgrade their abundance through real estate, for example. But also their partner will be invested in the family. The ruler of the seventh is the same as the ruler of the fourth in the family traditions, in the national traditions, and so on. Oftentimes, the partner, especially the first marriage partner, can either come from one's home country, or there is some connection, even resemblance to the energy of one of the parents with the family, and the values are very similar as well, of the partner with that of one's family. All right, so what about next? I think we covered everything. Yes, that's it, Pisces. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to me for hours and hours. I hope this gave you some great insight. Maybe for Pisces, I can also say a few words. If you're having problems in your relationship, seventh house, and you have a lot of resistance towards your partner, or you can't find the right partner, or business partnerships are problematic, redraw your attention from there and focus on the fourth house. Raise the vibration of the ruler of the seventh through the fourth house. So maybe, do something at home, pay more attention to your family, talk to your parents, talk to your extended family, because Gemini rules the fourth. Communication, or do more things around home, maybe fix something, move the furniture around, organize your living space, because Mercury likes to organize stuff. And then, or maybe take a garden, something to do with real estate, property, home, or improve the relationships with your parents. This can unlock the good karma of your seventh house. Or if you have problems with your family or real estate, then focus on the seventh house. If you have better relationships, build business partnerships, or maybe try and buy a house through a middleman, like an agent, rather than directly. Somehow your real estate is connected to another, or let your partner kind of more choose the real estate for you. And that's very good actually if you want to be a real estate contract maker and sales, because 7th house is sales, the public, and the same planet that rules 4th house, real estate. So for Pisces, that can be one option as well. So thank you so much, and may you be blessed. You can find out all my courses on astrolada.com. Each one of my courses is 60 hours or longer. So yeah, check it out.